to fix it, baby, my beloved six. I'm gonna bow down to the queen. From silence spreads the world around. I see fire come from below. I hear thunder crack on the road. Don't call me.
This ain't where the legends come from. You know what a hero looks like. Pretty little flower, won't you sit back down and go play nice? So keep talking, keep laughing. One day you'll wish you had it. Other people on fire, fire. Maybe it's time they meet their dragon. If you're gonna hold me down, you're not gonna let me into your castle walls. None of you can keep them. 'Cause if I gotta burn it all down, then we'll burn it all down. My oh my, look at who ends up bigger this time. And if I gotta break it all down, then let's break it all down. Bye, 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 playing with fire, and we'll burn it all down. This is where the bruises come from. This is when the game gets ugly. These blood, sweat, tears keep running. Licking my plate 'cause I'm so hungry. Keep talking, keep laughing. One day you'll see what happens. Other people on fire, fire. It's about time they meet their dragon. If you
Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the grand finals of RBT6 right here on Christ's stream. I am Barlow, one of your two casters for today's match, and I'm going to be joined very shortly by the one and only Mr. Elliot Ayers for this. And as that's happening, we're going to jump right into the map ban with a little delay since this match is due to start in about 20 minutes. And this actually might be the most consequential map ban in one of the most important matches in the history of competitive Left 4 Dead 2 that way. So as we are jumping directly into this, before we say anything else about the tournament, there is really only one match that I can think of that compares to the hype of this one, and that of course was the RBT5 Grand Finals between Team Envy and Frag4. One of those two teams in essence is still here today with Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, and the other one of course is Team Coreagaming. Elliot, we have been waiting essentially since last weekend for this match to happen, and now we're going to see exactly how it's going to, because they are jumping right into that map banning as we're talking.
They are jumping right in, and we see the first ban coming out from WTF is Spongy is Carnival Remix. So we won't be seeing Carney Remix. Thank you for that lovely intro, by the way, Rails. I think we aren't going to be seeing, I mean, anyone's guess, but I think we probably won't be seeing Detour ahead. Obviously, for our lovely viewers who were there last week, Coreagaming managed to get the upset win and force a bracket reset basically 1 week ago today against WTF Spongy on Detour ahead. So probably that map will get banned. What predictions do you have for other bans here, Rails?
I have to say this, right, as we were sitting here watching this happen live, like, the entire week leading up to this, I was thinking to myself when there's been... Oh, actually, Hard Rain Downpour has now immediately been vetoed by Coreagaming too. Die Scraper Redux going from Where the Fuck is Spongy. We can barely even talk about how hyped the match is, because these two teams, I'm pretty sure they each have the strategy that they want to use when it comes to what map they want to see played. And if you had asked me last night what map, and I think actually in a couple friends' pugs I was playing, I was saying that maybe Hard Rain Downpour would be an option, but Coreagaming do not want that, and we were seeing Die Scraper immediately vetoed too by Team Where the Fuck.
And there goes Pacifice from Coreagaming.
Okay.
So the bans are coming in pretty quick and fast here from
Yeah.
these two teams. They, as you said, they clearly have a very good idea of what maps they want to play and what maps they don't want to play. Little Birdie has told me that Death Toll is almost certainly not going to make it through. I believe one of these two teams, and very possibly both of these teams, are not interested in playing that one.
Right. Coreagaming, I mean, they won their match when they played against Team Impact in the bracket as well to get to this point. But honestly, following that upset last week, right, that was, and that's the thing about double elimination brackets in Left 4 Dead 2 especially. The thing is, in order for a team to win the tournament, they need to win the grand finals, of course. And the reason that that has to happen in this way is because each team in the double elimination bracket gets to have 2 losses before they're eliminated. So since Team Where the Fuck is Spongy were not losers prior to last weekend in the bracket, they had to lose twice. And now regular Hard Rain is going out by Coreagaming too.
And Detour Ahead is
And
gone
there
from
goes
WTF
Detour
to
ahead of me.
Spongy.
So
They are not interested in having a rematch of last week.
Of last weekend, because last week was one of the most amazing performances by a team, especially under that pressure where Coreagaming needed to win. We saw what they did exactly on the on their home server, right? And for those who haven't seen that match, it's on Kreitch's channel. It's one of the most invigorating matches I think you could ever watch in the history of competitive Left 4 Dead 2. And there's honestly so much hype around this that at some points it's hard to speculate exactly what's going to happen as we're sitting here watching this, but I also think there is a dark horse in terms of the maps that we could see. Open Road, I think, is going to make it decently far. Maybe someone will veto that right now because I'll caster curse it, but of the custom maps that we could possibly see, that one to me actually would be super interesting. Parish is also always a solid choice. I would personally be surprised if we see Suicide Blitz for this, but with such a consequential map choice here, Elliot, would you think they're going more towards the regular or more towards the custom in this case?
Well, it's hard to tell. I think both of these teams are pretty comfortable on stock maps and custom maps. If I had to guess, I would say that Coreagaming is probably looking towards more custom and WTF is Spongy is looking towards more stock. But as I say that, Coreagaming banned Dead Before Dawn, one of the customs still in the pool.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, Dead Before Dawn is one of those custom maps that's been used in semis and grand finals and tournaments, you know, dating back to, I want to say, like 2012 or something like that. But they're not interested in dealing with that. And there goes Carried Off as well from Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. So these are now going fairly fast. It's down to Suicide Blitz, Parish, Open Road, Death Toll. Those are the final 4 maps that we possibly have.
I'm surprised to see Parish has made it this far.
I'm honestly not, and here's the thing. The reason that I think Parish is so, like, as the stock map, right, like, that's one of your classic, like, that map is the map of all the maps, in my opinion, that has the least chance of being random, right? Like, Parish is extremely straightforward when it comes to how the gameplay goes, and in a map situation like this, where both teams have that kind of strategy, I think both teams would be comfortable on Parish. It would be 1-4 because there's no longer a finale, and now, I mean, between Parish, Death Toll, Open Road, and Suicide Blitz, I would be really surprised to see Suicide Blitz, just because for me personally, I know Team Where the Fuck is Spongy are very strong on that map. But there goes Death Toll from Coreagaming, so it's down to Parish, Open Road, or Suicide, and it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those 3. This is going to be massive, especially since it's home and away. I personally am a huge fan of Open Road. If it is home and away, it would only be 1-4 because that finale, for those that don't know, features 2 tanks, decent wave of horde, and kind of like the cane field setting that you're used to on Blood Harvest 5. And like that to me, the finale, you can score an amazing amount of points on that. But also Suicide Blitz 1-4. If it's that map, perhaps Coreagaming know it as well as Team Where the Fuck is Spongy do, but I just remember whenever they would play on that in terms of Team Frag 4, of course, and that's the big story that we have to talk about, because that match last weekend was the first loss, I do believe, by Team Where the Spongy / Frag 4 in quite a long time. If there's one team, though,
years.
Absolute years. And if there's one team that can actually do it twice in a row, it's Coreagaming. I want to see exactly what they pick for the map that they feel most comfortable on, just because I don't know, when it comes down to Open Road, okay, and Parish is now gone, so it's going to be either Open Road, and this is what I was saying, Elliot, I wasn't surprised to see Open Road make it this far. The reason I was saying this is Open Road is a tried and true custom map that way, and watch them veto Suicide Blitz to force Open Road. It sounds wild, like a wild card that way, but Open Road is also an extremely balanced map, 1-4. Suicide Blitz is as well, and the only reason that I'm going away from Suicide Blitz a bit is just because I know. And there it is, Open Road. There it is! That's what I was...
Open Road! There it
watching,
is! You did it, Rails!
I said this to MK last night. I was like, if there's a wild card that way, I could see Open Road making it that far just because of how balanced it is. And now we're going to have Game 2 of the RBT6 Grand Finals on Open Road. I am so excited for this, Elliot, and we are going to be getting into server so soon. For those that don't know, Open Road was introduced into the community back in CCT3, I believe it was, in 2015, and then was also used in the Reflux tournament after that in 2016. It's not the most popular custom map, but it is one of the custom maps that has been played in a decent amount of tournament settings, especially on this configuration. I am so excited to see it here today.
I think Open Road is a fantastic map, and for the viewers and for us, it's going to be a bit exciting because it hasn't been played, I think, at all so far in RBT6. It wasn't one of the original maps, and I don't think it's been played on any of the vetoes so far. So we are going to see basically a completely new map, at least for the viewers. Again, I'm sure both teams are familiar with it, but personally, I'm quite happy we're not seeing a Dark Carnival or a Parish. We are going to get something a little bit different, a little bit spicier, a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited. Open Road, lots of hittables from what I remember on this campaign.
Yeah. And it's a very strong survivor campaign most normally. The tank fight that we're going to see on map 1, for example, there are hittables that the tank can get in, but it's extremely possible for both teams to kite around. Like, there can be a huge amount of high-scoring opportunities here for both teams, even on the away servers, just because as comes... So, Open Road has two things about it. One, it has a lot of roads, and two, it's very open. So basically, when you have... when you have those two things combined, these caliber of survivor teams, we'd be seeing a lot of safe rooms made. But conversely, there's also a lot of chances with Horde on high ping if for whatever reason hittables land. I'm specifically thinking map 4 for that. There's one particular tank spawn, I think, like, I don't know, 75 or 80% of the way through the map where it's a hittable tank.
After the drop. I
Yes.
think I know the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And that one, I mean, there are situations where that's going to be, just down to how well the tanks obviously position themselves and they're hittable, so herd the survivors around. But then map 2 and map 3, map 2 has some pretty devastating ladder chokes that way, and if one team, for whatever reason, like in any scenario, but Open Road's one of those campaigns where you can be really punished for an early wipe, like really, really punished for it, just even based off the distance point. So we'll see exactly how they decide to play it first, but this is going to be... I don't know. I'm very, very happy to see Open Road used on this too, because one of the things that keeps competitive Left 4 Dead 2 alive, especially at this stage in the game, is that competitive adaptation of custom maps made by different members of the community, and Open Road is a shining example of that.
So, do we know which server we're going to be playing first? Because I think this is another thing that could very well come into it. The mind game of playing a home and away. Do you want to play home first? Do you want to play away first? There's pros and cons of both. Last week, we saw Coreagaming play... hang on, can I remember properly? Coreagaming played on their home server first.
Exactly.
And they had a very solid performance on home server. And very possibly, and obviously I wasn't there in the comms with WTF or Spongy, but I think very possibly the fact that Coreagaming was able to get such a dominant result on their home server did sort of play into the mentality a bit. I think WTF or Spongy came onto the EU server and they looked a little bit shaky, they looked a little bit nervous, they had some weaker survivor than what we've seen in the past. Still very good, mind you, but for their very, very high standards, they did look a little bit shaken. So do you have a preference here, Rails? Would you want to go home first or away first if you were playing?
Okay, so if this is me, we talked about this throughout the arc of the entire tournament, because 72 teams started playing in RBT6, got down to these final 2, and the consistent thing across the entire Swiss rounds, and then also the bracket, was exactly how good Team Where the Fuck is Spongy have been on their home server. That was something, and basically a strat that was used by Coreagaming last week to turn that on its head because of how strong Coreagaming were on their home server. If I'm them, I want to do the same thing, honestly. Like, I want to go home first, make Frag 4 play Team, and things you're gonna hear me accidentally call them Frag 4 at least once so far, just because of their stats in the community that way. But because of how dominant they can be on EU, Left 4 Dead 2 is a game of momentum, and when you have two absolutely world-class teams, probably the two best teams playing right now, in the entire game, especially in this high caliber a situation when it comes to a second game of the grand finals, the momentum is going to be what both these teams are fighting for. So if I'm Coreagaming, don't fix what isn't broken. If you know the map well enough and you feel confident enough to pick it, let's go. Survivor side, shut them down as well as you can, and then make them play as well as they played before on the EU server. And if any luck, right, if you have like a 4,000 point lead, knock on my desk here, I'm not sure if we're going to see exactly a repeat of that by Coreagaming. If they're able to do it, that would be utterly spectacular. But if it's me, I want that momentum, and you want to kind of control the pace that way to then make Team Where the Fuck is Spongy live up to that kind of reputation that they've built for themselves. So yeah, if I'm Coreagaming, I want home first for that reason.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Coreagaming had a very, to be honest, at the end of the day, it was quite a convincing win last week. It was. And now we're going to go again.
Yeah, and
so
the thing
can
is,
they repeat?
I will say this time, though. because of how powerful Team Where the Fuck is Spongy have been in the entire time they've been dominating the scene, right? And when we say dominance, we mean dominance since 2016, 2017, really that way. Obviously, RBT5 Grand Finals, and for those that aren't aware, we talked about this a bit last week, but Proof and Kane, who are playing for Team Coreagaming, were two of the main four for Envy and RBT5 that way when those two teams met. But now, with this winner-take-all scenario in front of us here, I expect generally Team Where the Fuck is Spongy to play better than they did last week. I expect them to show up a little bit more practice just in general, and also I think I'm not sure exactly how comfortable they are on open road or how comfortable they thought they were on Detour ahead, but I expect it to be a closer match than it was last week. I think last week caught the entire community somewhat by surprise, just because when you have an upset that way, by definition, right, you're looking for one team to flip things on its head. But now that that game has happened, and because they had two games, Where the Fuck is Spongy have a chance to completely reset themselves and come at this from the best angle that they possibly can. If they want to defend that title from RBT5, then they're going to have to play better today than they did last weekend.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true, and I'm sure they will. As you said, they've had a week to mental reset. Oh, I'm excited. I don't think we have any confirmation on which map we're going to be, or which server we're playing first.
Korean server.
Oh, we are going to go to Korean server first again. Oh, this is exciting.
That's what I figured, yep.
We're going to get it's going to be a rematch of last week. It's a custom, and Coreagaming will be playing on the home server first.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think what happened last week, too, on map 1 of Detour Ahead, and as I said, you're going to hear me say this a couple times, at least until this match starts, but, like, if you haven't seen the game from last weekend, you really should, because Coreagaming started out on Survivor side. It wasn't like they were immediately blowing out Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. Like, on a few of their hits, I remember there was actually, like, a little bit of anxiety from the casters' chairs, because when you're watching a team play Survivor that way, where it seems like damage could happen, it's like, okay, they might have to do a bit better than that. But then once they got confident and once they got hot, that was when they were completely unstoppable and managed to get that, like, 4,000 point advantage going back to EU. They could do the same thing here, but I think what they need to do is just ease into it on Survivor side and say, okay, we have this massive advantage that we do thanks to the balance of the home and away system, because this actually is the more perfect the more perfect option versus the one game, I think, in this scenario. But they're going to need to absolutely maximize that advantage, especially in an area like this, where even if you do have higher ping, you know, when you have teams that are as experienced as these two, they can make it through a map that way with the elevated ping too. Coreagaming are going to have to be on it from the very start, I would say. And just, you know, they're going to take it one map at a time, but they got to be absolutely surefire when it comes to that advantage in this setting.
Yeah, and you touched on it last week. They looked, I think, particularly on map 1, they looked a little bit shaky, but they definitely ramped up. I think they looked better every subsequent map after that, and that's kind of how you want it to be. If you want to have a bad map, you definitely want to make it map 1. There's the fewest amount of points to play for. They had a really strong map 3 and 4, I remember, and those maps are not particularly easy, so they definitely have, as you have been saying, played really well on the home server overall and carried that momentum into the away. Can they repeat it this week? We'll find out.
We're about to find out, and honestly, this is something for me that's been awesome to see, exactly how the community has evolved in this way as a competitive scene, just because home and away matches, I forget exactly when those were introduced, but this is something where it's the absolute best of what we have the capability to do, I think, at this point in time with, you know, because I always, when there's an option to have a one game, I really, really do prefer it, but I'm going to be double bound here, too, so I'm going to have to fix that. But, the takeaway, I think, for me is that when you are trying to play competitive Left 4 Dead 2 in today's day and age, you got to be able to do it on both servers, on your home and also your away with the higher ping. And this is going to be very comparable to what we saw last week, of course, because Team Where the Fuck is Spongy are playing with close to that 300 range, and you've got Coreagaming in the right spot to maximize that. But if there is one team who can repeat the performances they've had in the past on high ping, it's going to be Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. This tank is at 60%, so I don't think it's actually going to be the early one, but already, like, this kind of atmosphere, there's one mistake that could change the course of the entire outcome of the tournament at this point, I would say.
Absolutely. We saw it in the end, the point difference did end up being reasonably large in last week's home and away.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to spoil this, so if you haven't watched it, cover your ears right now. It was just that one map on the European server where Coreagaming was able to wipe WTF the Spongy, I think, on map 3. That was really the only thing that separated the two teams in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and what happened on this server previously, it was like, what, 5,400 points to like 1,300 or something ridiculous. Like, when you are playing with this high a ping advantage, you absolutely need to do that exact result. And that's what we're used to seeing Team Where the Fuck is Spongy do on their home server, usually in EU. but they're going to need to do that today. The challenge is, of course, and here's a good question, Elliot. If you're playing in a scenario like this, would you rather set the scores going to the second server, or would you leave it blank?
That is, personally, I'd like to leave it blank. I
Right.
feel that playing Survivor first every round, which you will do, assuming you're still winning, because you've already played your home server. So you'll be playing Survivor first every round on the higher ping. Personally, I feel that is a slight disadvantage, but again, it's kind of a give and take thing. Playing Survivor first has some pros. Playing Infected first has some pros, and they both have cons as well. So, I mean, it's really up to whatever the teams are comfortable with. I don't think it's a huge difference either way.
For me, it's like, okay, once you earn a lead that massive on your home server and then you immediately transition to the away, like, you're going to be playing with much higher ping in terms of that, and even if you get wiped then, instead of playing Infected, you still have that chance of playing Survivor first, but if you're losing the momentum that way, it can feel each time that you almost are, like, weighed down trying to play like that just because you have to play with the advantage first. I just like seeing it as two separate games, but then you can add the scores that way, because then it keeps the flow of the game going, but I guess it depends on what really each team prefers. It's just like when you have that, it's like you look at the tab scores and it's like, okay, it's immediately 4,000 points that you have to make up. So if you're down by that much too, it can add to the pressure of it because you'll know what the difference is just anyway. I would rather.
Yeah, it can feel daunting.
I would honestly rather have the reset of the 0-0, but once again, it's really up to the teams depending on what they want to do. It looks as though the teams are completely in server here as well, and I do believe we're here. I'm not sure if we're going to be joined by other streamers for this, but either way, we're going to be able to get this live extremely soon, and I'm just literally in spectator here, like whipping around open road, looking at all the ways in which this could be just catastrophic for the survivors of some of these hittables. And that's something too I think that I appreciate about this home server, is that you can see exactly where the hittables are prior to ready up that way, and I think this tank's going to be I think this tank actually might be fought near the safe room if they can run it back, but it depends on these first couple hits.
I think the survivors will definitely try and run it back if they have the health. I'm going to quickly cut you off because it looks like we will be going live fairly soon. Do you want to give us a quick roster rundown here, Rails?
Indeed I do, and thank you everyone for tuning in to this amazing Grand Finals, Game 2 of what has become a bracket reset for the winner-take-all. We're going to be going live with Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on the away server first for them on Survivor side, and Team Coreagaming, who won last week in amazing fashion on that special Infected. For Coreagaming, since they won last week and it's their home server, I will do them first. It's going to be Kane, Prove, Razor, and 4ZE, and who do we have for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, Elliot?
Starting on the Survivor side, on the high ping, we have Wristburner, aka Brian, Dusty, Dave, aka Soul, and Wolf.
Indeed, we do, and now we're just going to be waiting for the last two members of Team Coreagaming to ready up. If there's one team who can do it and take this title home and take the RBT6 title away from Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, it's going to be Team Coreagaming on that special Infected side. As soon as they ready up, we will be able to take it live. It'll be maps 1 through 4 of Open Road, Korean server first, and then we'll be moving to the EU server for the rest of this. Any predictions right before we kick off here, Elliot, as to who you think is actually going to take it?
Oh, it's too hard to. If you give me one map to see how these two teams play in the first map, I might be able to get a better read. But it really is so hard to tell. These two teams are so fantastic when they're on. I think at the peak of their game, I really think there's such a small difference in skill between these two teams. It's impossible to call.
And it's been amazing to see how each of them have adjusted over the course of this tournament. We're going to have, actually looks like slots 12 going in, because there might be one more streamer joining this, and that would be absolutely fine, because we do love the fact that there have been teams from all over the world. I am just absolutely grateful of the fact that we started off with 72 teams in this tournament, down to these top two. And I think they represent just overall how strong teams can be in competitive.
We're going live!
Don't take my word for it. We are about to see it because we are live with Game 2 of the RBT6 Grand Finals. Winner take all between Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on Survivor and Team Coreagaming on Special Infected. First hit for Coreagaming on their home server. Charger, Smoker, Boomer, Hunter, waiting for the survivors to push into these trees just to get the best angles that they possibly can. If that Boomer lands, it could be huge, but the survivors are taking their time at the same point in time to make sure they don't take any common damage. They really cannot afford to start with any big mistakes. Positionally, as we all have the hit coming in now, it's going to be Smoker going for something, not going to land. Charger gets killed. Hunter lands for a split second before being cleared as well. Single Boom goes out with a Smoker pull onto Nick for a little bit of damage, but nothing catastrophic there, Elliot.
Yeah, that's a good first take for WTF is Spongy. Charger unfortunately did miss. Charger is really the only damage potential on that hit. Quick ping rundown. I assume Crouch has put it in chat, but just so everyone is aware, WTF is Spongy, Brian, Dave, and Arwolf are all hovering around 300. And Dusty from NA is about 200. Over on Coreagaming, Jinman Proven Razor at 10. And Kane is about 50. So this is about it's about a 10 ping to 300 ping game for most of these players on this first server. So it is a very high ping home and away.
Indeed it is. Next hit's going to be coming in right now. Looks like Charger is going to be leading it, not going to land, going to get cleared off of Coach. Boomer goes in from the back, gets a double boom. Jockey's still jumping around, also not going to land. That SQ was deployed very, very well by Team Motherfucker Spongy on that hit. And Dusty, as you mentioned, from NA is going to be playing as the one player without the true home server, but that gives him the advantage of about having 100 less ping here. We'll see how that affects the survivor setup for where the fuck is Spongy as we go along, but the first tank of the game is going to be up for Coreagaming directly into the hands of Razor, and he's going to be following the survivors, throwing a rock directly at them. Smoker, Charger, Hunter. Elliot, we talked about it a bit, but there are hittables in this area that he's almost going to have to use to get any kind of wipe, and he's going for them now.
Yeah, he's already going for them now. As you said, WTF is Spongy are pretty healthy, and that pin is out. Razor mishitting his first hit on the hittable and immediately punches it out of the map. Not the ideal start. He does have one more to work with.
He has that, and then he has the log that's behind the survivors too. They are taking a hit at the same point in time. Smoker is not going to land. Hunter gets shut down. Charger dying last because they do not want that on the SI side of things. Now the tank is going to be rotating over to this left-hand side, and he's got a bit of sight on the survivors as he is above them. He's going to have one dumpster on the right-hand side, and he's getting a little bit of chip.
It's a lot of chip, actually.
Exactly, as this is happening. That hedge, by the way, I do not believe is real, so I think he can keep sight through some of that. But this hit on the dumpster is going to be flying all the way in. Now it's behind
in the back
survivors.
though now, yeah, the survivors can play forward. There's really nothing to worry about as far as hittables are concerned. And the survivors knowing this, they're pushing right up into his face.
Yeah, exactly.
This is looking really good for WTF is Spongy so far.
I think you're exactly right. He's going to be sending another hit here, it would seem, though. Smoker going in, Rock going in onto Nick. He's on second pass, 5k HP, 75% rage. He's going to have to deal with another wait here right before he has to commit, and that's actually dangerous now because really no damage has gone out, and those hittables, that first hit you mentioned that knocked the first bin out of play, right? We got the other one behind him in the log to the left, but I don't think he even has the time to get that. He's gonna have to commit pretty much what he has next, unless he's looking to play some kind of rock, but I don't think he's gonna be able to play rock for too stupendously long just because of this HP. It's a Charger Hunter Boomer, but he's actually gonna be sending it in with that hit. Boomer's gonna jump in and get a single boom onto Coach. That's what they need to have any chance of this working. Coach is actually getting kited back towards the hittable, but the tank is down to less than 1k HP. Survivors transitioning away. Pounds does land. Dumpster goes in and onto Arwolf. That was so close, but the tank is going to be pretty much caught out with that. Dumpster goes! Catch 2 people! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Wow, that is... Oh, wow.
That is utterly insane to see. That last dumpster hit, Elliot sends that from a 1-punch tank to a 2 in cap, 2 survivors bleeding, making something out of absolutely nothing. What a hit.
Oh man, I mean that has gotta damage the mental at least a little bit for WTF is Spongy. Hit, next hit comes in, no real damage though. I mean, the hits so far, basically aside from that one dumpster, which got 2 in-caps by itself, WTF is Spongy have not really looked trouble at all by anything Coreagaming have thrown at them so far. So, you know, they can take the positive out of this, that hittable was a bit lucky, and yes, they got 2 in-caps from it, but aside from that, they really have made it look, frankly, quite easy, even though they're on 300 ping.
This is what I was mentioning with Open Road being just filled with open spaces for the survivors to do exactly that. And that's why, even with the 300 ping until about now, the event is going to be much more dangerous for the survivors, because in areas where they have room to kite and just hold S backwards, you can't do a massive amount of damage. That tank was completely you know, like he started off playing a bit of rock, but the hitables didn't go his way, but he managed to get the dumpster at the end to make it happen. The question is, can they do more damage to the survivors now as they are standing inside? That Hunter gets picked in the back.
Is dead.
Charger coming in. Charger tried to, I'm not exactly sure what the Charger tried to do in that scenario, but a punch does go out onto Dusty for a bit more damage. I'm not stunned to see them making it as far as they are here, but I think I'm agreeing with you. We're on the infected side of things just a bit. Coreagaming haven't seemed as comfortable so far yet as you probably would want to see if you're rooting for them. They'll have 3 other maps to make that up, but...
Yeah, I mean, it is only map 1, but... Rails, they're infected. I'm just going to say, it's looked bad. Coreagaming's infected has not looked good on this map. They've had 1 lucky dumpster, and otherwise I've seen about 3 SI land. And 2 of them have been a smoker.
Exactly. This last hit is going to be coming in. Jockey going for Dusty, getting M2 and shut down. Hunter going in with the smoker for a quick double cap, and that was actually the most synchronized hit, aside from that double dumpster, I think, that we've seen. But nonetheless, Team Where the Fuck is Spongy make the safe room, doing a great job on the tank until the very end, and this is what you want to see from them. 772 points on the away with that 300 ping. And this is something where, okay, if you're saying, of course, on any map with high ping, it is so difficult to make it that way. 300 ping makes it even harder. I
think that is a fantastic result for WTF Spongy.
I'm not surprised to see this from them. And that's kind of like we were saying right before we started this. I expect them to come out and for this to be a lot closer than it was last week, just for that reason. And that, of course, will force Coreagaming in turn to play well on the away server too. But first, they have to make sure they don't suffer any kind of in-cap or death or other scenario that would have them behind early on this home server. They need to absolutely maximize this, and really, they're going to have to shut down that tank to the absolute best of their ability, because Team Where the Fuck is Spongy did a great job on Survivor side otherwise, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I'm not going to say it's likely, but it's entirely possible that Coreagaming make it into the safe room with similar or even less bonus. The WTF Spongy are going to have a long arm tank, and hitables are one of the few things that aren't affected too badly by being on very high ping. So if they can, land some hitables, land some long punches, maybe get a spit charge inside, a 400-odd point bonus is very possibly what Coreagaming will make on the home server.
Yeah, and I'm not... The thing is, both these teams have such stupendous experience with ping that maybe you can see Coreagaming do the same as well. That Charger rockets in. We do have the Smoker going for a single cap with the Hunter looking for a cover. He's not able to land it. It's a quad boom at the same time, so just a bit of common damage going in as that happens. That hit was very well synchronized by the special infected. That quad boom managed to get in at the right time. They kind of used the Charger as bait there to have the other things land and do at least a bit of damage. But as I was saying, Elliot, I wouldn't be surprised to see on the EU server for Team Coreagaming on Survivor side to do something similar to what we saw Team Where the Fuck is Spongy do here. And like I said, lots of safe room potential on this map just because of how the map itself is set up. Spitter, Boomer, Jockey, Charger for this next
Charges
hit.
in,
Charger's
and
gonna
it lands.
go in, landing on to Ellis that way, and that's going to be a bit of damage onto 4Z. It looked like it should have been a bit more, but what I love so far from Team Where the Fuck is Spongy is how fearless they've been on both Survivor and Infected. Let's see if they can continue it, because it's Dusty with this first tank of this home and away series, one of the best players, if not the best, in the history of NA, and he's going to see if he can do better with this hittable, and so far he is.
He's got the bin on the roof. It's not out. He can climb the ladder. Yeah, I think that bin is positioned very nicely.
Indeed it is, and this one's now going to be flying in too. He's going to get both those dumpsters in. I'm not sure if he's going to go for the log. He's going to go for the other dumpster, it looks like, potentially, after he hits this one. And he's going to want the right support here. Elliot, if I'm Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, I want some kind of 3-cap here. That dumpster is in, and the Survivor's now going to be pushing forward a bit. Boomer's going to die, and the tank is going to get pushed a bit, it would seem.
Yeah, some aggression coming out from Coreagaming. WTF Spongy clearly agree with you. They want the 3-cap, sacking the boom. Coreagaming pushed right past the hittable, so they are not taking any chances with that. The problem with this area is you can get punched off the cliff if you are slightly out of position, if you aren't careful, if you don't respect the very long arms, and the other problem is he can bring the other hittable.
He's going to have to be real careful. He didn't have time to get the other one.
Yeah, he doesn't have time.
The thing is, these hedges aren't real, so he could have kept sight through at least one of those, but now he's going to be committing with just that dumpster. It's going to be the Hunter, Smoker, and Jockey for the support. The Survivors are going forward, though, away from the dumpster again. Aggressive call, but Coach is separated. Hunter's going to land onto Rochelle. They're still not clearing the Hunter yet. Rock is going to go in, not going to land. Dusty punching Rochelle now. That's going to be Razor into the corner. He cannot afford to get hit off the side, and he's not going to be yet. That's going to be the Smoker getting cleared. Rochelle's going to be down. Dusty has just about 1k HP left. One in cap going out, and he's going to be pushed back to the roof. This is something we've seen Coreagaming do throughout these games. They have to skeep this rock and just get out of there if they can. Tank is still basically baiting the survivors. This could be a rock.
Could be a rock?
Nope, he's going to bait it once again. They have to watch for the spawns here, though. The tank is almost dead. They probably have to know that he's this low. Maybe they don't know he has 300 HP, but this is going to be the rock. Maybe going for Rochelle here. They're taking their time to pick up, popping the boomer just as they need to. This is actually looking better now for Coreagaming than it did at the start. Hunter's going to go in, trying to land onto Coach, not going to work. Charger's going for something too. Rock is going to go directly into that small hedge. The tank is now going to be trying to get out, going for one last long arm, getting the cat spray down. That was an intense tank fight, Elliot, but what we've seen so far in both games in the Grand Finals in Coreagaming is that aggression on Survivor side. Just as Team Where the Fuck is Spongy looked confident, so did Coreagaming, and it pays off for them here.
Yeah, pretty good take. They take one in cap. I think it is possible to take less than that if you play it down below, but of course you do always run the risk of eating a dumpster, of eating a hittable. So they do push forward, and I think they're going to be pretty happy with how that went. If they take the next, I think basically 2 hits cleanly, they will hold a couple of 100-point lead going into the end of map 1. Not huge, probably not what they wanted, but it is a lead at least.
Exactly, and they're going to be pushing directly into this event now. Jockey, Smoker, Boomer, and
Spit dies first.
And indeed it does, but this hole was not cleared until Proof was halfway through that spit. Boomer is going to get a proxy onto Coach for a little bit of damage onto Kane, but nothing really to write home about, and that should be really the last time the SI have a chance to set up in any way that feels comfortable for them, depending on how fast the survivors hold W here, just because it is such a wide open area prior to the safe room. I think this is maybe looking to be, at least so far, a game where we see a lot of safe rooms made on both servers, something else that we've seen, and if that is indicative of anything, the survivors might just be holding
Hunter's pre-spawned.
directly into this last hit. Hunter's getting chipped. Nick is still outside, but
survivors are in.
That's it. 1,016 to 772 points to start this game. We have the ZZZZ coming out in Survivor chat from 4ZE, but that's going to give them just about a 200-some point advantage. Elliot, both of these teams are here to play on both servers, and I am so hyped to see exactly how this goes.
Yeah, really nice call there by Coreagaming at the end. Hunter pre-spawned, had to run away, and the survivors saying, okay, if you're going to pounce away from us, we're just going to run into the safe room. So, pretty good round. In fact, a very good round for Coreagaming on their survivor. I think they'll be happy with that, but what they are going to have to do, I think it's fair to say, Rails, is get a little bit more damage on the infected. I don't think WTF is Spongy can be affording to make maps with sort of 30-40% bonus on this sort of ping. Obviously, map 1 is by far the easiest, but yeah, I would like to see a little bit more damage coming out from the Coreagaming infected. For now, we are going to be seeing them on Survivor.
We are, and this tank is much more difficult, as we just mentioned. 25% means the survivors have to either push out past this one hedge or take it near the safe room. With long arms in this scenario, that would be extremely interesting to see them take it safe room side, but it's going to be a fast ready up once again. Coreagaming on Survivor, Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on Special Infected. It's going to be a Dave tank for the SI. Boomer, Jockey, Charger, Smoker for this first hit from them. Let's see what they can do. Boomer and Charger both want to come from above the survivors, it would seem, as they're making their way out of the safe room tunnel. And this is something where they would need to get some kind of separation to do a huge amount of damage, but those rocket spawns can be pretty devastating if the survivors don't transition backwards at the right time, too.
Yeah, the Smoker, probably they're going to try and set up the charge with the smoke. I'm lying, the Charger goes straight into the tunnel, gets absolutely melted. And that is a zero, more or less, a 0 damage hit. I think a couple of scratches came out, but pretty good take for Coreagaming. Survivor's still looking very good.
It was, and now this tank is going to be up into the hands of Dave, and he's going to have to do work with this. Let's see exactly where the game decides to spawn him. It's going to put him in the sewer, and he's going to have to transition up to these hittables, and this is a this is one of the more hittable-sided tanks in the entire campaign, just because of how the tank can rotate around and try to get something here. But the survivors are pushing him because he's down by the sewer, and the hit was not ready to cover that. That's 300 damage. As the survivors are once again going to play this in a wide open area to start. Now they're looking at maybe trying to go back to the safe, but the thing is the tank is not in a good position for this whatsoever. He's still underneath and he can't really rotate up. Jockey, Hunter, Charger for this hit. As long as they don't get completely slammed in the open field here, they should be okay, but this actually might force a really interesting commit. And I don't know about these spawns for this area, Elliot. I would prefer a Smoker, but he's going to be rolling.
Yeah, I don't love the charge. He's in.
Oh,
what's an early punch?
Indeed it is, that Hunter is dead. There's
another
a long
punch.
arm, though. That's alarm going on to Nick. Another punch going out onto Nick there. Kane getting cornered. Indeed he is. One spawn is already dead though. Charger goes in, gets melted. Long
Another
arm going out
punch.
onto Coach 2. These arms by Dave, these
my
arms
God.
by Dave are absolutely god tier just because of how he is using that ping to his
Wow.
advantage. Jockey lands as well. The early support looked like it wasn't going to do a whole lot there, but that's 2 in-caps in a wide open spot from those 300 ping arms. from
Rails, that might
Dave.
be the longest arm I think I've ever seen.
That was absolutely wild, because you're in a wide open area, right? One of the spawns is dead. Nick is still up top. Ellis is here for the cover to make sure that that isn't a huge issue. But, like, that arm, he was able to get 2 corners by himself in a wide open area with how long those arms were.
Yeah, I mean, that's just way too much damage. That the survivors took 2 full in-caps and another punch. Hits coming in, but they do skeet the hunter.
Yeah, that was
Kane
wild.
running through the spit.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're Coreagaming after that, and they can obviously replicate something like that on the away server there too, I think they made the right call when it came to pushing and being that aggressive. They just were not expecting the arms to be exactly that long. And you could see as the survivors were kiting away like that, in a normal circumstance, that those aren't punches, but you have to be ready for something like that to occur in a game like this. Boomer is going to go here as the survivors are pushing the choke. Coreagaming don't even care.
This is some go-go from Coreagaming. Charger fails his rocket. Fails his this poor charge. Is he going to land? He does!
He does, of course.
He
This
gets
is...
the 10.
Both teams are being as aggressive as possible here, and I absolutely love to see the fire with which both of them are playing. Here's what I'll say about that on the other side of things, though. You know, they had the support go in on where the fuck is SPONGY's tank a little bit early. The Hunter was trying to set up some kind of early pin, and obviously the tank did what he could in that area with the arms that he had. I don't expect it.
Fantastically well.
I don't expect to see Team Where the Fuck is SPONGY take it in the same spot, I don't think. If they do, I'll be surprised, but if they do, I think Coreagaming will be ready for it. What's really going to matter now is they have to make the safe room with basically what they have here. They have a couple more hits to shut down, and then they gotta do work on the special infected side in that area. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by Kane right there with a team skeet going out, and the hits, because both teams are playing so fast, Elliot, it's just literally non-stop spawns, I think. Almost.
Yeah, I feel like these hunters are not being patient enough. They're pouncing around too much against green pink survivors, giving themselves too many opportunities to be skeeted. Very easy for us to say from the comfort
Of course.
of the spec chat.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
at least they are getting the sack order right. Maybe that is the plan. Although they have a boomer here. Does land 1.
They do. They've started the event and are now pushing out into this area. Charger spawns in front. Smoker is immediately going to get cleared. Charger lands, though.
That's a
Hockey is
huge
gonna land
charge
too.
by Dave. 1!
Indeed it is.
Ooh, not
Cleared
quite
just
2,
after
but that
1
was
pound.
good
Yeah.
damage.
It was looking like a tri-cap for a split second as this horde is still going in, but the survivors, as they are still fast, are going to be holding W, trying to make their way now towards the safe room, and you can see the coordination on the SI side from Team Where the Fuck is SPONGY hitting at the right points. This is definitely like a slugfest in that regard.
And a pounce!
Pounce gonna land, Spitter's gonna go in for a little bit down to the spit, however, is going to miss, and Nick is going to be able to maybe slide directly past that into the safe room, but he gets stumbled right next to the spit. Absolute action for Team Coreagaming there. They are gonna make the safe room for the second time in 2 maps, but 872 points. Elliot, I think they were looking for a bit more, and now they need to not get rattled by the fact they took so much damage in that open area, and they really gotta step it up on SI side here.
I think they were looking for a lot more. They weren't too bad on the hits. It was really just that one at the event with the charger landing, but 2 full in-caps and then I think a punch or even 2 additional punches on to prove on top of that in a tank in an open area where literally 0 spawns landed. That just can't happen. The survivors running around focusing SI meant 1, the tank wasn't being shot enough, and 2, they didn't realize that the tank was getting close enough to long arm them. Kane getting cornered early as well. Yeah. I think they have to wipe WTF is SPONGY, or basically at least get the bonus down to 0. I don't think this tank is that hard. I really don't.
Right.
And Coreagaming aren't going to have the arms that WTF is SPONGY did, right? They're going to have much smaller arms, or you would assume smaller arms on the green ping.
There's a way, depending on where he spawns, I know, to go on top of the bridge and go for the hittables instead, but if the survivors are going to play aggressively, then they could obviously push past him into an open spot when he does that, but I don't know exactly if that was the exact plan for Dave originally when he spawned to go in from underneath the bridge. I think in an ideal scenario there, you're able to get above the survivors, not take the chip, and then commit in that spot. But yeah, in a wide open area like that on whatever ping, you can't afford to have some of that go down as we saw it go down. We'll see if they can save it by getting that kind of wipe, but once again, we could see that easily replicated on the away server too by Team Coreagaming when we get to EU. Meanwhile, though, I think here, like, they should be playing on the special infected side just like essentially with the flow of the game as usual, but I don't think it's like in the category where they necessarily need to wipe. Maybe I'm completely cursing them for when they go to EU, but like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this replicated on the other server as well, just because both teams playing with red ping that way, they know how to use it to their advantage, and that's literally what made it for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. It was that knowledge by Dave to know this is how long my arms are and here's what I can do. It'll be a Kane tank for Coreagaming as well in that same spot.
Kane is a very strong tank, but yeah, he will not have 300 ping arms, at least not on this server. So he will have to rely on SI landing, or as you said, maybe looping around, bringing the hittable from on top of the freeway. I do think that generally speaking, committing from in front underneath like that is not ideal for the tank. Dave obviously made it work with great results. I'd be surprised if Kane didn't try and go around to get the hittable and get on top of the freeway.
Exactly. We're gonna be seeing Team Where the Fuck is Spongy go out of the station now.
Oh, Ellis?
Oh, what a play by R-Wolf there, honestly. If he catches that charge, that's like 1 or 2 pounds, I'm fairly sure, but instead it's a 0 damage hit, and momentum I think definitely is now on Team Where the Fuck is Spongy's side. On Survivor, it will basically all come down to this tank. Kane, though, has a boomer in position, it looks like, for his own spawn. He's going to jump in with it and land it onto Rochelle, so he got a solo boom. Got a solo boom, and now he's going to have support coming up, too.
He is going to commit. It looks like he's just going straight in.
He's going to hold W in. It's going to be a Charger, a Hunter, and a Jockey for the rest of the support. He's in with the 1 boom, and the Survivors are trying to back up at the same point in time. Charger
lands onto...
Oh, she's onto Rochelle.
Separated.
Indeed she is.
That's a pounce.
Indeed it is as well. That's going to be a punch going out now onto Coach. They're trying to clear Rochelle, but the tank is cornering
Dave is in-capped.
Indeed
Dave got in-cap punched.
He did, and that's going to be a Charger landing as well onto Nick. Rocco's on Ellis. This is the wipe that Team Coreagaming were looking for. Dave living by the arms and dying by the arms, quite literally. And that time it wasn't ping, it was distance. He was hit. 3 in-caps out, only Ellis, that being R-Wolf up. Tank still trying to stay alive with under 1k HP. Smoker's going to spawn up. Not quite able to land. R-Wolf trying to clutch this so hard, but the tank is there. He's going to get the punch. He's down to less than 300 HP. That early jockey onto Dusty is what made that possible, and it's a 1k point advantage now for Coreagaming. It's been their SI side making up for it here. That in-cap punch, Elliot, was insane.
Yeah. I mean, Dave, I think, did what he had to do. They had to try and clear Dusty. He got pounced right in front of the tank, and as he stood up, Kane had all the time in the world to line up the in-cap pounce. It just seemed, or in-cap punch, it just seemed like maybe a bit of miscommunication. Obviously, with the common coming in, the tank instant committing on 300 ping, making a clear and concise call is very hard, but Dusty looked like he wanted to run back. The other survivors doubled forward, and getting separated jockeyed like that did end up resulting in the wipe.
Indeed it did, and that was great call by the support too to go in like semi-early in that area because survivors were getting flushed back to the safe room with that 1 boom. Kane absolutely clutched that in every way possible. It was the boom for himself, the in-cap punch, and as we mentioned before, Kane improved with all of their XP this way. They're looking to avenge that RBT5 loss, and they're doing a good job so far. The 1k point advantage going into map 3, fast ready-ups. It's going to be a, 72% tank, and that will be in the hands of Wristburner, aka Brian. Hunter, Charger, Boomer, Smoker, the momentum swinging in both directions here, Elliot, just as fast as the game is going. Let's see now if Coreagaming can really maximize the Survivor round.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to put some serious bonus on the board in these next 2 maps. 1,000 points, it's not bad, but I don't think it's definitely not enough.
No.
It's not bad after 2 maps, but it's not enough.
Indeed it is. First hit's going in. Charger is going for a punch. The Hunter landed for a split second onto Nick there for just a bit of damage. Common goes flying into the sky. Smoker is going to die too as the survivors work their way forward. But I think you're right. I think map 3 and map 4 in this campaign, they are the huge bonus maps as well. Map 1 and map 2 can be, but 3 and 4 is where it really comes down to that precise positioning and how well the survivors can control the flow of the game. They've already got the event started and are now Wing all the way to the top here to block these spawns. This is an area where the SI are going to be forced.
That's fantastic W key from Coreagaming. They took 1 hit and they've already made it all the way upstairs.
It's a masterclass from them right now, just because of how they're able to pace this out, and they're taking almost no damage here. They're in the exact spot that they want. It's a Charger, Hunter, Jockey, and a Spitter, but there just aren't the correct spawns for really anything to happen. You've got 3 shotguns staring down this staircase.
It looks like WTF is spongy. They're just going to wait.
Saving.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
I
So
think
that's
wow. They have a good hit to land in a corridor somewhere. What they don't have a good hit to do is to get any damage in this massive open room with long lines of sight. So yeah, they are going to save.
Yeah, and they just don't have the spawns there. It's being blocked perfectly. You've got Jin Man in the back there, right, just blocking with the Uzi and letting the three shotties do all the work on the Horde, and they're just literally not going to hit. That shows so much respect too for how the pace is going. Like, they are making the SI hit when they want them to hit, and now they're going to even turn off the bang timer as they go. And you see the survivors aren't even really moving that much, Elliot, because they're kind of like, where's the hit?
These spawns, the Charger and the Spitter are set up on the roof outside. If WTF and Spongy don't get damage with this hit, Coreagaming have made half the map, and they've basically taken no damage.
Exactly. It's going to be all on this Charger to see if this rocket can land. Dave is going to try to do his best, I believe, in that
I'm going to go for a wall kick.
Charger misses. It's going to be a double cap, though, from the Jockey and the Hunter, so that's a bit of damage now going out onto Coach. Really, probably the best they could have done in that area without the Charger landing, but the Charger had absolutely no chance to really get onto anyone, and like you mentioned just a couple seconds ago, they're going to W key now all the way into this room, but this is another example where the long arms could really come into play, because the main spot, I think, to fight this is inside the diner, or they have to drop outside, but either way, that is a little bit advantageous for the SI. They're going to have to make this the brunt of their damage after this map so far.
It's going to be inside the diner. They've made 66% of the distance, over 66% of the distance. They've only had to face 2 hits. They've killed 8 zombies, and they've nearly made it like 3/4 of the way through the map.
That's 2 hits before tank. Charger's gonna be dead. Hunter lands for a split second. Smoker and Boomer still up as well. And here's a quick question for you, Elliot. With a tank playing with this high ping and with those long arms being a thing, do they try to do anything except the diner, or do they just try to absolutely light him up, knowing he's gonna get a corner probably anyway?
I just don't know where else you could play it other than the diner. I mean, you could go back towards the safe room, but there's an alarm car, there's hittables. I don't think there's any other area that's really any better than the diner, but you're right. The high ping arms could be a big problem. If they can get corners in an open field, be damn sure they can get corners in a relatively closed area like this.
Oh, and they're trying to find where the tank is, and they found out that he is outside. There's really no chip going on to that, but Brian is going to transition his way. He's going to be coming from the inside window, it would seem. And he actually just sprayed there, so I think they know he's going to be jumping through the window at this point. We'll see who he goes for. Jockey, Charger, and probably a Hunter for this commit. Jockey's going to be making noise as the tank has made his way in, getting shredded as he's in the center of the room here. Missing his first punch,
the arm.
Onto Nick. Now he gets the arm, but he's got to be very careful because he's already under 2k HP. They're going for the in cap there. Hunter gets skeeted. Jockey is going to get M2'd. Charger whiffs as well. It's just the tank. They're getting as far away from him as humanly possible. He gets two more punches. But that is the best that he could get in that area. He missed that first punch, Elliot.
He did. Missing the first punch was... it's always a big problem if you miss the first punch. It just means you take so much extra damage with 4 survivors shooting you rather than 3. Still decent. He gets a full in cap and then 2 extra punches onto Jinman. That box. Ooh, no open.
Box isn't open. We don't play this game. LOL, okay. Alright, cool, we'll say don't open. Go. Alright, so the box is not going to be open. We're going to leave whatever is in the box there. Dusty's saying if it has a med kit for him, he is going to take it. We've already had one team say they don't play the game, but we're playing the game right now, Elliot.
We are, and I think Dean has pointed out in chat, I believe the bug there is it literally doesn't open for the first team to play Survivor. It will open for the second if they press E on it, and there's often pills in there. So they just make an agreement not to abuse that.
Exactly.
Again, another kind of early hit coming in. Hunter gets skeeted.
It was. Now the smoker's going to get a pull in the back for a bit, but Ellis was right on the edge of that
safe
spit.
corner. There's one little corner that he could hide in. I thought he was going to take a lot of damage there.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like the momentum has fully gone in Coreagaming's direction, just because with that tank only getting basically that in cap and the 2 other punches, he shouldn't even have gotten the last 2 punches that he got in that area. Had they known he was that low, I think they kill him, but this is the exact kind of Survivor momentum that you want, as they're going to be pushing their way into the safe room with really nothing else going. They're just in. 3,264 points for Team Coreagaming now, and this is what we were more expecting, I think, Elliot. If they find a way to get a wipe on this and have 2K advantage going into map 4, and then they're able to make map 4, that would be what they need to do.
Yeah, that's a much more respectable point lead. I think if you don't include the one kind of half hit that WTF is Spongy sent as the tank spawned, while the pass was the control was passing over to Brian. If you don't include that, I think there was only 3 hits that entire map. Coreagaming just absolutely legged it.
They did. I mean, and that kind of pacing, that is what wins tournaments in Left 4 Dead 2, especially in 2022, where the game has changed so much over the years, like especially in Zone mod, now that you can go that fast. You could do it in Ace mod and earlier versions of Zone, but this one in particular, it's how well you can balance out being able to basically run and gun and shoot at the same time. I mean, Left 4 Dead 2 has always been a W game, but this is not the pro mod style of play, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, we're going to bait for as long as necessary because you have to maximize XYZ hit. No, this is, can you actually be good enough and on the same page enough to get through a couple of the choke points that way, or shut something down when you have to on especially lower ping, and basically force the SI to try to catch up with you, and that was an absolute clinic by Team Coreagaming on last round Survivor side.
It was. It absolutely was, and now we're going to get another chance to see them try and pull some damage with their Infected. Again, they don't have the arms that WTF Spongy will, but they do have the potential, like they did last map, to get some really clutch SI landing, get some separation, maybe land a nice boom. Whole number of things can go wrong for WTF Spongy when you're on this sort of ping.
Exactly. Charger's going to go in, not going to land on the coach. Boomer gets a boom almost from around the survivors there, as there's also a smoker and a hunter in this spawn queue, and then it looks as though they're just going to be content waiting for the survivors to actually leave. It's 3 shotties once again for the 300 ping team on this away server for them. The hunter's going to be going in now, looking to land onto coach. Gonna get skeeted though. Nicely by Dave. Dave is playing as well as I think he possibly can so far, Elliot.
Yeah, baiting the first charger, skeeting the hunter, baiting the boomer, Kappa. He's looking very good. It looks like he's playing on 5 ping.
Exactly, but even with this kind of disparity, it would be really interesting for me to see them go quite as fast as Coreagaming did. Maybe they will try to at the same point, but I expect to see Coreagaming maybe try to get something in the room and deep. Hunter, Jockey are both leading in for the charger there. That's going to be the Hunter landing with the spit going down on top of that onto Coach. Jockey gets a little bit of damage. That looked like actually should have been a bit more damage, Elliot. But yeah, now they're going to get another hit when the survivors try to go forward as well.
Yeah, and it looks like WTF Spongy want to push. This is hard on 300 ping to push into all these common. They might be able to make it work.
That's why I was a little surprised. But I think they've managed to make it work almost to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to face a hit in the park either way. Ideally, if you're gonna push, you want to try and push all the way through the park, so you don't have to worry about a hit like a wall kick or a charger in these hedges. They don't make it, so the hunter is pre-spawned. And the boomer. Oh, that's a nice little cheeky boom there. Hunter's in. Spit. Oh, no one's clearing Dusty.
Oh, that's a double cap, and that's gonna be so much damage actually onto Dusty as he's getting hit by the common too. This is exactly what we were talking about, where they did push through the rest of the event, but then they had to take that hit there, and now they're gonna get another hit that they have to take prior to the tank. Spitter is trying to save itself here. I don't know if Nick is gonna be able to pick him or not. He's got around the corner. Razor decommitting the Spitter enough to where now they are going to probably get a charger for this too, and you see that's the difference between the two sides. Like one hit or 1 hit and a half like that does so much for the momentum, and now this is going to be a strong hit on the survivors as they're coming into the diner. It's going to be a boomer, spitter, jockey, charger. They can make that work on SI side.
Absolutely, they can. So they are, as you said, they're going to get another hit, and this will mean that they have had the same number of hits as, I don't know if you could even call that a hit. That got absolutely melted by the 300 ping survivors. The jockey and charger didn't even touch the floor.
Yeah,
nice focus fire.
The charger rocketed in. He tried to get behind Rochelle there to charge into the corner instead of down, but it's going to be a boomer spawning up in the hands of 4Z. He gets a single boom. Once again, the tank is going to boom for itself.
He's boomed his own tank, so that's
he's going to be in.
Another commit, yeah.
Exactly. It's solo booms for the tank and then insta-committing, it would seem, as the tank is going to be working his way in with the rest of this horde. It actually looks to stop for a second. Exactly. He's crouching. Now Smoker's going to die too. Tank is going on to Coach. That's going to be a corner onto Dave. One more. That's going to be the end.
Oh, look at this common though.
This is
look
insane.
At so many common.
that is the single boom strategy. 2 maps in a row, perfectly done with the double cap Hunter and Jockey. The Hunter gets cleared, but it does not matter. Coreagaming are doing it so far. This is exactly what they needed, and Elliot, that is on SI, 2 tanks in a row. First Kane and now 4ZE boom for themselves and then get the wipe. That is incredible special infected play. It's the best in the world right now.
There were so many common. I mean, obviously fantastic decision making by Coreagaming to allow the tanks to try and boom for their own tank. 1, landing the boom for their own tank 2, but my goodness, that looked like too many common for a 1 boom in my opinion. Coreagaming aren't going to be complaining. Fantastic wipe. They didn't even need the smoker.
And the issue is, in a room like that, when you saw how the common were trying to get in, it's that there's a bit of a delay to it. And this is really map-specific, and it's chapter-specific, too, when it comes to Left 4 Dead 2, because there are some areas where the common just do not enter the way that you think that they normally would. You have to feel it out, and you actually have to see, like, okay, when this happens in this area, this happens. When it happens here, that happens. The common were, like, they spawned at the right time, but they didn't get into the survivors in the way that would, like, say, okay, we're going to clear this court fast. And that's because the survivors were inside. So getting boomed there and essentially having to deal with 4 SI and a tank at the same point, that's a recipe for disaster, as we just saw.
26% tank here on map 4.
This is an easy tank for survivors, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is another pretty easy tank.
Ellis
is still talking.
Call it in survivor chat that way, of course, because he's talking about what he needs to do. Now we're going to see exactly what happens, though, because this is map 4 on the home server for Coreagaming. Hunter's going to land onto Nick for a second there. Now the Jockey's going to land on him, too.
Nice.
Bring him into the spit, but he does get cleared after a decent bit of damage. Spitter is actually chasing him, too. Will get killed. Kane is working his way into that corner with his shotty, M2 as much as possible. But like I just mentioned here, Elliot, this is a notoriously difficult tank for the special infected in this area.
Yeah, it is. It is notoriously difficult indeed. I mean, the only thing that I could say as a possible saving grace for WTF is SPONGY is the massive arms that we may be seeing from our Wolf. I mean, the map 2 tank was in another open area. Dave did big works. Can our Wolf replicate that?
Shall see. Charger's going to go in, not going to land as the rest of that hit got cleared. Smoker went for a pull in the front. Jockey got shut down too. And the only way the tank does damage in this area, aside from the massive arms, would be if he gets like an early pouncer. It's pretty much similar to what we saw on map 2 for Team Where the Fuck is SPONGY on SI side of things. But again, Coreagaming chipping as much as it possibly can with those long distance Uzis as the tank is backing up just a little bit, but every single bit of damage they can get here is important for them in that spot. Boomer spawns in front, also not going to land. It's going to be Jockey, Hunter, Smoker, I would think.
I think that is the sack order, yeah. Boomer is very difficult to land here, even when you're not on 200 ping. Charger much the same.
They get a Charger here, that's going to be bad news for the SI, because you're in a massive open area, and this is why map 3 and map 4 are the most important for survivors, and they are going to be getting wall kicked early here, but the tank is not.
I think it's too early.
Does he have the arms? He does have the arms for the single punch. Smoker's going to spawn up too, though. Nothing else going there as the survivors are kiting him into the corner. There's a punch going out onto Nick. He's going to get hit away. Smoker gets self-cleared. Jockey lands, but Rochelle is there. Tank is missing a punch onto Coach. Now he gets the long arm onto him just a bit, but that's 3 punches, Elliot, and Coreagaming are so healthy.
That's a much better take for Coreagaming. 3 punches. The early pounce. Nice idea. I think it was just a little bit too early. Arwolf was able to get a massive long arm, but meant that Coach got sent flying to basically the other side of the open area, so couldn't get the corner there. Spawns got shot down, tank got kited. The rest of this map is pretty easy for survivors, generally speaking. This could be a huge bonus coming in from Coreagaming.
This would be exactly what they needed on the survivor side of things to almost bring this to the same point that it was last week in terms of the pressure. Boomer, Hunter, Spitter, Charger for this hit from Team Where the Fuck is SPONGY. Charger rockets in, got nothing there. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by Prove. That is a beautiful shutdown, and all the momentum now is on the side of Coreagaming. I am absolutely loving what I'm watching from them now too, because once again, Elliot, it was a slower start on map 1 and just that little bit of map 2, but they have looked absolutely unstoppable so far on these last 2 survivor rounds when it really comes down to it, especially this map.
It's almost identical to last week. They had, yeah, a little bit of a slow start, as you said, but they are really ramping it up. This is going to be 2 very big maps back to back. This map 4 is looking 1250 bonus.
That is astronomical, to say the absolute least. Charger, Smoker, Hunter, Jockey for the quad attempt. Interesting to note as well that they've already moved past the insta-kill spot that you probably wouldn't see happen in a match of this caliber anyway, but you never know in terms of Left 4 Dead 2. This is going to be the Charger going in, not going to land. Hunter does manage to land for a split second, but those punches from the Charger do nothing. Jockey lands for a split second as well, as the Smoker Pool gets more damage than anticipated, but still nothing really to write home about, and the Survivor's going to be Wing now with the chance to make this map with an absolutely just clutch bonus when it comes down to this. Now, once again, this, because of the tank being so easy, you expect to see this from a Survivor team, but having had the game go the way it has so far, for them to put the exclamation point on their home server on Survivor side like this, Elliot, is exactly what they need to do to take this entire tournament.
Yeah, and this is starting to put pressure on WTF Spongy. It is absolutely putting pressure on WTF Spongy. As we said, this map is fairly easy for Survivor. Even on 300 ping, I don't think WTF Spongy can afford to get wiped again.
They can't. They absolutely must make it.
Too much of a point difference.
In my opinion, wiping on this map, especially on, like I said, the ping is one thing about it, but it is such a Survivor-friendly scenario. Like, if they want to hang in this now, and it's so wild how quickly Team Coreagaming has gotten the advantage that they've had, but it just shows the caliber of team that they've been throughout this entire tournament and in the lower bracket. But where the fuck is Spongy? Need to kill that tank, and they're going to have to at least make the map with bonus. There's really no... I don't think there's any excuse for wiping in that area on whatever ping, unless they eat some kind of random, you know, like, single or multi-cap to set up the tank that way, but they cannot afford to have that happen. Boomer, Charger, Spitter, Hunter here for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy is probably the last good hit that they've got prior to the safe room, and they're going to try to see if they can make it work. Hunter gets yeeted by Kane. Charger though does land. That's big. That's what they need. This could actually be an in-cap depending on where that Boomer goes. Nope, it's not going to get the stumble for it, but it's going to knock Kane slow. Rochelle is boomed in the back. That's kind of what you want to see. There's still life for the Special Infected when it comes to that, but it's still a bonus that is... It's
going to be over 1,000. I don't think they're going to get another hit. They might have a couple of staggered spawns, but the Kane is in. Sorry, Prove is in.
The Jockey gets killed, Smoker has nothing, Hunter's going for a scratch, gets shot in the chest for his troubles, and that's how Coreagaming make it to the safe room for a total home server score of 5,024 points, putting the absolute pressure, as you mentioned, on Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, and they need to make the map with this. And if they make the map, right, let's give them full distance for a second, then that would put them just about 3,000 points behind. They can make that up on the EU server for sure, but they cannot afford to wipe here.
Yeah, a wipe here is,
Over.
I think,
It's
like,
over.
almost
Yeah.
as good as you.
Exactly.
Full distance with a little bit of bonus. Yeah, if they can get it up to 2,000, the 3k point difference, it's big, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah, for
If
them
they can
too.
get anything above that, it's starting to actually, alright, not too bad, less than 3,000 points.
Right. I mean, and this is conversely on the next server that we're going to play. You could definitely see Coreagaming do the exact same, but if Coreagaming are able to capitalize on this, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with the tank because, okay, Smoker getting an early pull, that could go something, but it's so easy to hit a Survivor away from you in this spot too. Like, they really would have to focus on that corner as much as possible, but this is going to be the second half of map 4 on the home server for Coreagaming. They're on Special Infected side now, and Team Where the Fuck is Spongy are on Survivor. Ellis is still telling his story about I'm not even sure what, but indeed, as the Survivors leave the safe room, that Jockey's going to pre-spawn on top. Hunter's looking for a wall kick on the side. Jockey goes in, managing to land onto Coach for a split second, but that's really not a whole lot of damage there. Elliot, the Survivors back into the safe room and are pretty okay.
Very quick clear onto the Jockey. Dave is going to eat the boom. And he does eat the pounce. Unfortunate.
Indeed he does, and that spit...
Like a little bit of spit.
Yeah, that spit spreads up just a bit, but he was in the right position too, where it wasn't really consequential for him. The triple boom is doing a bit of damage onto Dusty as this is happening as well. Let's see what Prove is able to do with this tank. Like I said, open field in this area. Really, really important on that SI side of things to get good support. The Smoker spawn in the front too. It's Smoker, Jockey, Charger, Hunter. Smoker getting a pull onto Ellis in front, and they're going to send this hit prior to the tank, keeping with the aggression. Hunter and Jockey both going in. Hunter's going to land. Jockey's going to land. Charger is also going to land for a split second 3-cap. Trying to clear the Jockey too as that's going forward. That's a huge amount of damage, honestly, Elliot, from that hit.
That is big damage. They did manage to clear the Jockey before he got taken around the corner, so they're not wiped. But yeah, good damage already. WTF is Spongy, they just cannot wipe to this tank. They need to stop getting boomed. I mean, of course, much easier said than done, but that has been the constant factor in the last 2 wipes. Even just a single boom is enough on this ping, enough chaos for the infected to get the wipe.
Exactly, that rock is not going to land. It was close. Dusty managed to get the Uzi skeet. Smoker is going to spawn up too, and there's one survivor alone in the back with a pounce going in, and the Boomer is going to get a double boom too. That's so much damage onto Brian. Could they play rock here, Elliot? Could they do it? I think they could try.
Certainly looks like they're trying a little bit here. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the rock onto Brian. It was very close. And Prove is still losing sight, so I don't think they are going to play rock. But as you said, that was almost a rock's worth of damage anyway from the Hunter and the boom landing.
Indeed it was. He's backing off here. It's a Charger Hunter and a Jockey. Survivors are going to be trying to push into him.
He's going to have to commit. Second.
I think he's content with playing as much rock as he can right now. That rock is not going to land. Charger's going to whiff as well, and now they have to decide whether they're going to LOS him or not. But it looks as though they're content with getting even more damage versus committing there, and I like the idea from Proof. It shows that they're in no rush. Really, when oh, he got the rock on Ellis!
No!
Oh no! That is such. That is such a
if the survivors
issue.
if they were on the other side, all of them like over where Dave was, I think the tank was just AI. He certainly had to commit. He was down to like 40% second pass. Are they going to try for another rock? Surely not.
They might. I think no, they are. And there's one going on Dusty, and he is going to be in with that, missing that. The Hunter's going to die now. This is unfortunate for the SI. The Boomer lands, rock lands too. Tank is going to be rotating to the right-hand side. He's getting out. He's decommitting with the 2K here. Jumping now.
There's nowhere really to hide on this side. Another rock.
Oh, this is glorious damage by Proof. He's going to be throwing another rock around the corner here. Almost landing it too, but this is the damage that Team Coreagaming were looking for. Smoker Pole goes out as well. Rock goes in. He's going to in-cap Dave. This is an amazing tank by Coreagaming. Look at it's one in-cap and more, but that is so demoralizing, Elliot, for a team where the fuck is Spongy.
4 rocks in total and a fair bit of SI damage, but it wasn't a wipe. It wasn't a wipe, and I think WTF Spongy can absolutely make the map from here. They took a quite a lot of damage, but I don't think it was enough such that there's no way they could finish the campaign.
I agree. I think this is showing a lot of confidence in the SI hits outside of Tank 2. This Jockey's already bouncing around, but with the Survivors bleeding the way they are, they're going to have Risk Burner commit pills, and then Dave's going to be bleeding too. I mean, this is still a pretty decently long map. It looks deceptive right now, I'm pretty sure, but it depends on what these other hits are going to do. I think Coreagaming are saying, you know what, okay, we did as much damage with the tank as possible. We didn't do the classic commit. We got, you know, the Survivors kind of routed like that with the rocks, plus the other support damage that was able to get it, and now the pacing is kind of in their control as the Survivors are working their way forward. Hunter's going for a walk, is going to land it, and there's a spit going down on top of that too. Charger gets the intercept as well for the double cap.
Oh,
that's an in-cap! Yep, this is what I was saying, Elliot, because with that happening, this is Coreagaming saying, alright, the tank is going to be what the tank is going to be. It's part of what we're doing, but it's been their SI overall that is bringing this to the point that is for them. And all of a sudden, like, this is still a map that Team Where the Fuck is Spongy can make, but the fact that the hits are doing this kind of damage is ultra important for the SI, of course.
Dave is black and white rails. He could die. On this sort of ping, you know, one more hit like the one we just saw, where he's a little bit separated and Captain Spit, he's dead.
Exactly. Smoker is going to try to get a pull in the front too. There's the Jockey going on to him, indeed it is! They got him around the corner. Dusty's clearing him, but I think Dusty's almost out of ammo or something, and now the Boomer lands in the back. It's such a chaotic situation for the Survivors. They're getting most of the distance points, and this definitely will be a game going into the EU server, just because it's going to be, what, like, still that 3K point situation, but the hits are doing the damage they need to. Dave is black and white. Risk Burn is going to be slow, and they only have one set of pills left.
They're going to have to save those pills for Dave. I don't think they can afford to have him get any lower than this, and he immediately pops them.
Okay, it's going to be a quad cap attempt now too for Team Coreagaming. Jockey, Smoker, Charger, Hunter with these rocket spawns in a decently advantageous position for them as well. Let's see what happens now, because Risk Burner is going to be slow in the back, shopping for any kind of pills that he can get, but with the Survivors bleeding the way that they are, they can't afford to spend a whole lot of time here. And they're going to be crossing.
A quad here would be so demoralizing.
It would, but the Survivors are taking as much time as they can to clear out the common in front. Ellis is playing that back position with that Uzi as well. Let's see how much further they're able to go, as the hit's going to be heading in soon. Charger going for the front with the Jockey too. Charger's going to land Does get cleared. There's the smoke and the pounce landing in the back though for the double cap. That's going to be Dusty slow off of that hit. So no quad cap as we mentioned because that would have been utterly devastating. But there's going to be more hits going on to them. And I think where the fucking Spongy are going to have to be content with saying, all right, it's going to be around 3K points. We'll have the ping advantage next and they can try to win by 3K in those 4 maps too because I don't think they're going to make it with a massive amount of bonus at this point.
No, they certainly doesn't look like it. Brian is slow, Dusty is slow. They're going to have to take probably at least 2 more hits.
Health bonus is at 26% now too versus the DB at 19 because of Dave being black and white. I think that adds a little bit of calamity to this. And they do find one set of pills though that Dave is going to have to keep, which means that Brian, aka Riskburner, is going to be in a pretty vulnerable spot. Boomer's going to spawn the roof and that's a single boom. And yeah, in the tree rather, with the Spitter, Jockey, and Charger for the rest. But Elliot, I mean, this is really precarious, I would say, for Team Where the Fuck is Fun because
Jockey's coming in, Charger's coming in.
So much damage happening here. The Charger lands all the way with the Spit not landing though.
It's Coach. Oh,
that Spit lands, he actually might die.
Yeah, I mean, one more slam and he might have died. He would have had about 5 health. And Brian goes down to common.
Indeed, he does. Hunter spawns in the back too, maybe looking to troll, maybe looking to just get a couple seconds of distraction too. But now that's going to be pretty much all the damage bonus depleted, and it's going to be just Dusty and Arwolf.
0.
Exactly, yeah. Dusty and Arwolf are the only ones who have any kind of bonus.
Hunter.
He's just making noise. And he's slowing them down too, but now they're actually going to be inside with the hit going in the back. Smoker Boy
Dusty has the bonus.
DD does.
Dusty and Arwolf.
Okay, well this is actually important. This is what might be saving this match for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, because they do have just a bit of bonus to make it in with. But once again, I think Coreagaming did enough to where they can take it on the away server for them. We'll see exactly how that happens in a couple minutes, because Elliot, this is half of this grand finals concluded. 5,024 to 2,138 in favor of Team Coreagaming. Will it be enough? I think it could be, because it's, like I said, just under 3K points, really. The GH is going out, but this is going to be... It's going to be map by map on the next server that way, because there's a lot of work for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy to do, but if there's one team in the world who can still do it, of course it would be them.
Yeah, I think 2,900 is just towards the upper range of doable for WTF is Spongy on their home server. They have last week's game aside, and actually last week's game, not even last week's game aside, on most of the maps last week, map 1, 2, and 4, WTF is Spongy looked very good, but all it would take is one bad wipe from WTF is Spongy on their home server, and it would be over with this sort of point difference.
Exactly, and map 1 and map 4, right? Those are the 2 maps that Team Where the Fuck is Spongy were able to make. If Coreagaming can make map 1 and map 4 in that same way, I don't think there's enough room in the other 2 intervening chapters, at least in terms of how the game is right now, to come all the way back from that. I
mean, Coreagaming could to be honest, very easily makes map 2 and 3 as well. The tank spawns have been pretty survivor favored on basically every map. The only reason that WTF Spongy did get wiped was a little bit of separation in the 1 and the boom landing on map 2, and then just a huge amount of common on map 3. If Coreagaming don't get boomed on these tanks, they could quite easily make every safe room on 300 ping. I don't know if they'd be making it with really any bonus, but distance alone should be enough.
Yeah, right, and that's the question now, too. So, if we're going back to what happened in the last game, right, map 2, the wipe by Coreagaming onto Where the Fuck is Spongy, that was massive there. And then, I mean, map 3 was just, when you're getting boomed going into a tank like that on high ping, especially in that room area, like, you saw how effectively Team Coreagaming shut that down. It's been the boomers, those 2 boomers so far, that have made the difference in the entire match. Because... like, if you're going high ping, essentially 4 SI and a full HP tank, and 1 booms, I don't know how you feel about this, but sometimes it feels like 1 booms still do give more comment than multi-booms, for whatever reason.
I feel like whenever there's a tank up, booms spawn like twice the amount of common than they should otherwise. At least that's how it feels to me, especially when I'm on Survivor.
When you're a Survivor.
When I'm on Infected and I land a 1 boom, there's like 2 common on the tank, and then that's it.
Exactly. And that's always how it feels, where it's like, man, will the comment ever stop in this scenario? But, like, That's there's again, I feel like in every single like series that we've had so far in the grand finals, going back to last weekend too, and the half that we just saw get played, like it's down to just absolute minutia when it comes to whether or not teams are going to come out on top of this. Like I think back to that map one that where the fuck is Spongy had, right, with that dumpster that was hit when the tank was. I think the tank died as the dumpster hit two survivors or something like that. Like it comes down to plays like that in this game that you really cannot predict until things happen. And I feel like that same potential exists, but the pressure is now going to be on where the fuck is Spongy to say like if they get wiped, I think at all on Survivor side, similar to what we saw last weekend that way, then the dream I think is just dead for them, and Coreagaming will take the tournament. But it's going to be really really interesting to see how close it is. In some of those scenarios too, because even with hittables on that high ping, like Coreagaming have a tremendous amount of experience on it. We expect to see them stay aggressive, because that's the thing that I liked the most from them last week when they played on EU. Like that map one push, I remember them doing where it's like, okay, you want to try to keep your playstyle as much as possible. You can't do things that are as risky as you can on low ping, but you want to keep that same energy, right? Like,
I mean, if we can take anything from the map last week, it's Coreagaming are going to play aggressive on Survivor. On 5 ping, they're going to play aggressive on Survivor on 300 ping. And that's one of the reasons that I love to watch them play. They don't look scared, even on 300 ping at all.
exactly, and you have to respect the teams that are able to keep that kind of consistency too. And playing in the international scene for as long as they have, I think I think it's a testament to exactly how well their cohesion works, of course. And
We are getting a bit of
going off
banter
mic here
from
too.
from Dave and the Coreagaming players saying, "Why did we play this map? We should have gone Suicide Blitz."
Well, and that's honestly, like I said beforehand, the thing is, I think it's somewhat known in the scene that way too, that team where the fuck is Spongy / Frag4 are extremely good on Suicide Blitz too. But Open Road has given us a nice a nice happy medium, I think, between the custom campaign thing and also a map that both teams are comfortable on. Because I haven't seen like any huge mistakes so far, like down to like, oh, map knowledge, or down to, of course not map knowledge, right? But anything like that where it's like, oh, you can do this or that. The pillbox thing is a meme, and that's just kind of how it is. They are going to set the scores, however, for Coreagaming to be on Survivor side first, and we'll see that same spot for this tank fight as we did last time with that 60% going to be adjusted, I think, at some point soon. But as I was saying, with the experience playing on high ping and team cohesion that way, the thing that gave what the fuck is Spongy a fair chance on that away server were some of the hits that they were able to send, plus the sense that when you play tank, right, no matter what your ping is, tank is such a mental SI to play. It's probably the most important one that way when it comes to an individual player's mentality, and you just can't be affected by the fact that your ping is that different. You gotta be used to your arm length, you gotta know exactly what lerp you need, you have to know, like, when you're getting close to the survivor, exactly what you can do when it comes to getting that kind of damage. If Dave doesn't do what he did on map 2 with that tank in the open field, getting those 2 in caps, that could be, like, an even wider point disparity, to say nothing.
Yeah.
Of how it actually came out, yeah.
We are just going to wait for... Kane got the Gnome Alone achievement. Congratulations to Kane. Exactly. We are just going to wait for the last player to join the server. I believe that is going to be Razor from Coreagaming. And we will be going live with the second half of the second game in this grand final of RBT6. This is it, Rails.
I'm smiling from ear to ear over this, as you can probably hear in my voice, just because, like, this is... it's amazing to see exactly how Coreagaming have gone through the losers bracket to get here too, and that's why the two things that I've really liked about the way we've done the playoffs this time, right? Because forever the RBT entire tournament series was a single elimination top 8, but moving to a double elimination top 16, it extends the tournament so much, and it's like, okay, it is kind of a marathon if you're not committed to playing it that way. However, when you have a tournament that has 72 teams, how can you not go top 16 that way? And then how can you not set it up so that a team like Coreagaming could come all the way through the losers bracket and now potentially take the entire thing? That adds a whole nother element of excitement and competition to it that way. And of course, the other thing that I love that we've done is the map veto, because it gives us situations exactly like this and gets into the team's mentality that way, where when you're playing the game before playing the game when it comes to strategy, it's better to do it in the map veto sorts of things than in any other way, shape, or form, right? So that to me, I think, has been awesome in this regard. And now it's like, okay, because you have two teams that are so well put together, like, this is how you should see things going when it comes to competition like this, where everybody is pretty much, aligned and saying this is where it's going to be the best team that wins it on these two servers. The ping disparity isn't amazingly great because everybody on Coreagaming is pinging between 270 and 283. As soon as Razor shows up, it'll be quite similar. And I don't know, we have 4 more maps of this entire tournament to see exactly who brings it home, and Coreagaming are in that point to basically prove why it is so important to have that double elimination playoff atmosphere combined with this extra element of strategy, because at this point in the game's life, I think that's how we keep it the best that it possibly can be. And so far, that's been proven right by these teams.
I mean, you're absolutely right. If Coreagaming were able to complete the lower bracket run, beat WTF SPONGY twice in consecutive weeks to take the title, then they've absolutely earned it. And what an exciting, entertaining run that will be, or will have been.
I mean, I can tell we're both kind of because what happened last week, and this is the only one thing about home and away series that I don't like as much, because when you're playing a single game, it's like, okay, you can tell exactly when that momentum hits. In this one, it's a little bit more of it's delayed gratification instead of instant gratification, because we know what the scenario is going into this, but the moment, if it happens, right, that team Coreagaming are able to get that similar kind of wipe onto where the fuck is SPONGY as they did last week, then that's when we can go ballistic and actually give them the title, right? Where it's like, but it's
and believe me, I will be going ballistic if that happens.
No, that both of us are kind of waiting with bated breath. I think everybody is that way, because 2,900 points, call me nuts, but I don't think anybody will, based on the fact we've all seen how well Team Where the Fuck is SPONGY play. Like, that, as you said, is like the upper limit, I think, of what they can do. It's really going to come down to map 1 here, though, because I don't know, getting a wipe in this area is possible, but I think both teams are probably going to play it a little bit differently than they did on the last server. In your opinion, do Where the Fuck is SPONGY need to wipe them here, like, to still win the game? Because honestly, I don't know if the answer is yes or no, based on what we saw last game.
I mean, WTF SPONGY made the safe room on the Korean server, so they don't have to wipe, but I think it is fair to say that they do have to do quite a bit of damage on this tank and the subsequent hits. We can't have Coreagaming making it in with 400, 500 plus bonus on this sort of ping. This tank this tank and this map in general is quite easy for survivors, as we have said. So a wipe is fantastic, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Maps 2, 3, and 4, I think they will have to wipe, or certainly maps 2 and 3, because they got wiped themselves.
Exactly. And so in this kind of scenario, you're trying to essentially mirror what happened in the other game for you, and then also do it better. And the hittables, that's the biggest thing that I think we're definitely going to see Coreagaming try to change. But in an ideal world, both tanks, I think, are trying to get both dumpsters in as well as they possibly can, and neither tank did that last time, especially when the survivors were able to push up that far. If they could manage to get the hittables a little bit better positioned, I think that would be the way to really try to maximize it like that, because the hittable for Coreagaming last time was really what separated like a one-punch tank from a 2-in-cap tank, of course. And I think at this stage in the game, both squads on Survivor side need to be super-duper aware of that, and I think the Infected need to do a better job of setting that up, because the only way in an area like this, unless, okay, open field 3 caps, of course, are possible on ping, and we say this every time based on, past experience, but in reality, the hittables are what make or break this, in my opinion.
Yeah, the hittables and the boomers, as we've seen. Really, It does. Of course, it just comes down to tanks. As we are just waiting for Razor. I think he said they were having some connection issues with Razor. Hopefully we get it all sorted fairly soon and we can get into this match on this server.
It's a Steam thing, so he'll be hopefully okay soonish, because of course that's the one of the shouts that we have to give to the Steam client for enabling us all to have this competitive experience, but at the same point, we all know that can have issues of its own sometimes. While we're sitting here and have a little bit of time, thank you to everybody for tuning in and watching this, absolutely. First of all, it's been a fantastic tournament, especially in this top 16 bracket, to see just people and teams from all across the world enjoying competitive Left 4 Dead 2 that way in a format that is international, and that's something that we want to definitely continue as a community. There's another invitational, it's the Lucian Invitational tournament that's happening right now as well, that is continuing that kind of trend, but thank you to Sir Please and Lucky Lock for the work that they've been doing in the community, in both forms of Sir Please and Cedapug, to keep that kind of momentum going, and of course everyone who's streamed and casted the tournament alongside myself here and you, Elli, too, for the work that you've been putting in. Kreitcha also really putting in the work on the streaming side of things. It's just awesome to see, so many years into this game's competitive history, which is decent. It's what? since 2009, so like 12 or 13 years at this point, like close to 13.
Far too many years is all I'm gonna say.
Far
Way too many years.
It's far too many, and yet somehow not anywhere near enough. That's the way that I feel with it. It's
Yeah.
like it just continues that it continues on that same kind of momentum when you have teams that are willing to put this in after so many years, you know, with the competitive history that both RBT and these teams have, as we do get the slots limited to 12 to take home RBT6 here in this particular fashion for Proven Kane. That would be some vengeance, I think, for RBT5, of course.
It would be some poetic justice here.
Yeah. That being said, Razor is still attempting to connect from what we're being told.
Razor is currently offline on Steam, so yeah, hopefully it won't be too much longer. I think they said he might be rebooting his PC.
Yeah. Be fine because we do have a little bit of a pause here, just as we are, and that's a couple questions coming out in Coreagaming's chat. I'm going to quickly step away from my PC for like literally 2 minutes, and then I'll be directly back for this, and then we'll hopefully be able to bring the second half of this match in short order. But if there's anything we've learned so far, Elliot, this is still anyone's game, and now if Team Frag 4 / where the fuck is Spongy can make up for that performance that they had last week on their home server, this would be the time where they have to prove exactly how good they are.
Absolutely right. So bear with us, folks, and we will be back in hopefully just a few minutes.
A couple minutes, exactly. Alright, send it.
Razor is back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for bearing with us. We will be going live momentarily.
Indeed, we shall. And it's going to be Coreagaming on the Survivor side first. You've seen the scores set. That is how we're going to be rolling with it. 5,024 to 2,148 in favor of them. Cat ate the internet, and that is exactly what happened. I am not surprised to hear that at all. Just because
I hate it when that happens.
I absolutely hate it when that happens, but exactly. Let's see how this goes. It's the last server of the tournament here, Elliot. It's going to be that EU server for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on that special infected side. They have work to do. We know where the tanks are going to spawn. We know Brian's on his way back. We know Razor is here. Can they do it? Can they actually bring it home? So far, I think the answer, of course, is yes, and Coreagaming are going to ready up for it too. 60% tank, it'll be fought at the safe room area, and as soon as Brian gets back, we'll be able to send it live. But this has been such a lovely arc to witness when it comes to this competition in the playoffs. I just keep saying it and saying it and saying it, because here we are looking at it, right? But this is going to be an intense 4 maps, and I think that's pretty easy for us to say as we're watching the whole thing unfold.
It all comes down to this. Weeks, months, in fact, of scrims, matches, people getting banned, Patel. And we are going to be going live for the final 4 maps.
RBT6 right here on Crouch's stream. It's going to be Team Coreagaming on Survivor defending this lead, and Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on Special Infected. This first it's going to be a Smoker, Hunter, Charger, and a Boomer for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. We'll get to a roster rundown in just a second after that, as the survivors with that higher paying once again between 270 and 291 are taking their time as much as possible to not take a massive amount of damage here. Hunter has pre-spawned to the right. Rochelle's going for the chip, but he's not being given any kind of opportunity really to make that happen on Survivor's side. But now the Hunter's getting pushed. Smoker's gonna spawn up too. Boomer gets popped. Charger goes in, not going to land. Hunter's looking for it now onto Ellis and is indeed going to get. Smoker gets shut down and real quick for Team Coreagaming on Survivor's side defending that lead. It's 4ZE, Razor, Prove, and Kane. Who do we have on SI, Elliot?
Over on SI, playing on their home server, we have Dusty, Arwolf, Wristburner, aka Brian, and Dave, aka Soul. They have the point deficit, 3,000, coming into this home server of theirs. Can they make the comeback and be claimed basically consecutive champions here of RBT?
Exactly.
Or will it go to Coreagaming with the upset?
That'll be the first time that we've actually seen that happen. It would be spectacular to witness for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, but of course, Team Coreagaming looking for partial vengeance and also making a story all of their own on this tournament's last stage. It's going to be a Charger, Boomer, Jockey, and Spitter for Where the Fuck is Spongy on this next hit. Looks like they're going for the Rockets as normal with that Charger, trying to dive on the Survivor's faces when they emerge from the house. That Jockey does land onto a Survivor, and they don't get the clear! They get the clear! Oh my goodness! The spit goes down too, the Charger misses. That was once again an example of how close it could be between a shutdown and a massive amount of damage. Prove was almost taken around the side of that shack into absolute nowhere, and that would have been maybe another half of his health, but instead they do manage to get the last second Uzi clear and spawn this tank up into the hands of a wrist burner for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. And Elliot, we talked about it right before going live, he needs to hit these hittables as well as possible.
Yeah, don't want to punch this one out of the map if you can avoid it. Well done.
He's making as much control as he possibly can using that crouch and also that.
And it's on the roof, yeah.
M1. Yeah, that I think is something he can definitely play with. Jockey, Hunter, and a Smoker for this hit. For Where the Fuck is Spongy as Coreagaming are playing forward here. I got a little bit tripped up there for a second just because the survivors are playing this as far forward it would seem as they can, trying to get any kind of chip like that. But here comes the dumpster over into play. The other one is still on the roof behind, and once again it's going to be one hittable it would seem for the tank to play with. He was trying to avoid that chip based on where the survivors are positioned, Elliot, but again he's going to have to go in with this open field 3-cap and just one hittable. Yeah,
didn't bring the second hittable with him. He has got this bin in a pretty nice spot. Now, hopefully he doesn't overhit it. We saw this last map. If you hit the bin behind the survivors, they'll push forward. And Brian, knowing this, rocks it in front. And oh! Alright, well, it's behind them now, and the survivors are going to push forward. Gets a punch onto Rochelle.
Got Rochelle with 2 punches there, but it's not quite going to be the down yet as Rochelle is making her way around. She manages to get pills. There's a punch being missed as well. Jockey is going to land. Coach is going for the cover. Hunter's going for the 3-cap, and they get it, but the last survivor. Ellis is not able to be cornered by the tank, and he is going to clear. That's the best that support could have done in that area, but they were not able to get the wipe, and it was that close again, Elliot. They got the 3-cap, but Ellis Kane getting hit away by the tank just because of how wide open these areas are. We've seen that be a theme that goes both in the survivors' direction and in the special infecteds. That was close to a wipe.
That was really close. Kane getting punched literally right next to the smoker. Still, very good damage, I would say, from WTF is Spongy. They got to be pretty happy with how that went. If they can land maybe a few spit charges, as they do land the charge and the spit onto Ellis. And Coach! Coach is stuck in the spit as well.
Oh,
and he stumbled back into it.
Prove is...
Oh!
Wow. He just took so much damage because of how that spread with the death spit too. This is the special infected performance that we're used to seeing from Where the Fuck is Spongy on special infected side. And there's going to be 3 survivors slow, everybody bleeding, no pills. Actually 2 survivors slow right now, but eventually there's going to be 3 depending on how fast this goes. Even with 2 slow that way, it's going to be very, very difficult for the survivors to make it.
Find pills.
On high ping. Okay, so now it is going to be 1 survivor slow with 3 fast, which helps them out a bit. But here comes this hit as the Charger's jumping its way, and Smoker Pull lands onto Rochelle. Jockey's going to land. That's the triple cap going out. Charger's looking for it and not able to land the quad, but it's a devastating amount of damage going out onto Coreagaming. This is a ferocious start from Where the Fuck is Spongy saying, we made the safe room on away. We're not going to let them do it. That is
Razor's dead.
This
just
is
getting eaten by Common.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, even with one survivor soul there, as we just saw, that can be devastating for a team trying to make it to the safe room. With this high ping pushing through the common, they're still eking out these distance points, but this is an amazing start, and that's going to be another pull going back.
He's down. They're just going to leave him.
Yeah, they're not going to get him. They're going to be pushing for the distance instead. Spit is going to get killed as it spits down onto nothing. It's just a jockey and a boomer in the spawn queue now, trying to get any kind of damage. If they can, boomer bunny hops his way in, does get M2'd and shut down as that smoker and jockey are looking for it, but the jockey gets bully circle M2'd as two survivors are going to make it. But listen, Elliot, that is the ferocity with which, on Special Infected side, Team Where the Fuck is Spongy start with it, and they hold Coreagaming to 373 points on this first map.
That is a very good start for WTF is Spongy. As we've said, this map is fairly easy for survivors. Coreagaming getting 3 capped on the tank, luckily not getting wiped, just because Kane, the last survivor, got punched clear over to the smoker and then taking huge amounts of damage on the remaining hits. WTF is Spongy put in a good map here, and all of a sudden they are in the driver's seat here, Rails. Yeah, everything to play for.
This is about to get very interesting because even on the home server that way, Coreagaming were only able to get those 2 in caps that they got with that last hittable hit that was sent out by them. And it's going to be 4ZE for this first tank as we go live. This is about to get very, very interesting, especially if Team Where the Fuck is Spongy can make it with any kind of bonus comparable to what Coreagaming did on the last map. They'd be already putting themselves in position to make up those points, and it's going to turn into a nail-biter, potentially. Let's see what Team Coreagaming can do on SI. Charger, Boomer, Hunter, Smoker for the first hit. As the Hunter's making noise up to the top right, Smoker spawns to the left, behind the trailer. Charger goes in as well, not going to land. Smoker pull does land. Nice geek going out by Dave, and that Boomer gets a proxy boom, Elliot, but that's the only damage, really.
Very clean, yeah. Just the one boom, and they'll be able to clear common. No issues at all off of Brian and the survivors. Making it look easy.
They are on that low ping. There's probably going to be one more hit prior to this tank, but let's see what 4Z aka Jimman does with this hittable situation, because once again, it's only been 1 hittable for each tank as they've come in. It was the SI support that made that work for Where the Fuck is Spongy before. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by a Wrist Burner. Charger gets absolutely melted. Jockey melted too, and the tank did peek outside for just 1 second, Elliot, before now returning to get his hittables.
Yeah, every tank has looked for that, some sort of instant commit if the special infected can cause enough chaos. Hasn't happened yet, and ooh, okay, I mean the bin is still in play. Jinman can get this up on the roof with a good hit.
And he's actually gonna rocket.
He's gonna rocket a little bit over to the right.
Precision.
Give it a whack.
That one is that's a good spot.
That's in, yeah, that you can definitely work with that, but I don't think he's going to have time to get the other bin. So again, it will be just a 1 hittable commit. None of these tanks have been able to get both bins in, from what I remember.
And they might be worried about getting AI'd or something in that area too. Smoker, Hunter, and one more spawn coming into queue. Now again, any kind of ping, hittables can be huge. Can Coreagaming get an absolutely clutch wipe here? Let's see. It's a Charger though for the last one instead of the Jockey, which might be to their advantage. And there's really no chip going out on this right now either. The tank is using the rocks to block everything, and now the hittable is going to be sliding into the survivors' faces, being ricocheted off a tree, and now it's behind them though, so he's going to have to be in. And indeed he is. Getting a first punch though onto Nick. That is a punch being missed though onto Dave. Here comes the rest of the hit. Charger is absolutely nowhere close. Hunter lands onto Coach. There's a punch going on to Rochelle. Tank is picking up a rock too, throwing it back around, but not going to land. Tank retargeting now onto Coach, but that's only going to be 3 punches going out, Elliot, and this is what Team Where the Fuck is Spongy absolutely needed.
Not bad at all for WTF is Spongy. They took a little bit of damage from that Hunter landing and a couple of punches, but nowhere near as much as obviously Coreagaming took. They are looking to make a similar bonus as Coreagaming made on their home server. The difference, of course, is going to be Coreagaming wiped on the away. WTF Spongy made it with about 400 bonus.
Exactly, and right now, Where the Fuck is Spongy have that momentum on their side. They're making the SI hit when they want them to. Charger is not going to land.
Oh, it's a very early charge.
Indeed it is. I think they're maybe guaranteeing just for the quad at this point to try to quad them during the event, just using the map to their advantage in that way, but I don't think it's going to be really possible for them unless they get some kind of miraculous stumble into a multi-cap to do an amazing amount of damage before the survivors is in the safe room, because now they're using the W key to their advantage. They're going to drop down and push directly outside. They do find a set of hills. somewhere as well, as everyone is still fast. They push directly into the heart of this event. Smoker, Charger, Jockey, and Hunter for the hit. As the survivors are trying to make their way around this corner.
Survivors are out of here.
Yeah, everything coming from the same direction as well. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by Dave once again.
Melted.
Charger gets destroyed. This is exactly what you wanted, and now this is about to become a nail-biter of a game, because this bonus is absolutely nearly immaculate for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, and they are in.
Kane has 0.
Kane has 0 points. 5,397 to 3,228. Elliot, this is the best start possible from Team Where the Fuck is Spongy, and those 2k points, based on how map 4 can be, based on how map 3 can be, this just got so ridiculously interesting, especially with how survivor-sided some of these tanks can be. Coreagaming wiping on that map, the 3-cap during tank is really what set that up, but now I don't think they can really afford to wipe on this next tank. They need to make the distance points out of this to stay in any like decent spot of taking this, at least thus far, because Where the Fuck is Spongy on home are now turning it on as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Survivor gameplay that we expect to see from WTF is Spongy. If they can continue playing like this, then it is going to be, I think 2,000 points in 3 maps is more than doable.
It absolutely is, and that's why Coreagaming just got to reset on the Survivor side there. They got to play this now to their advantage in the open field, and can they just rebound from that is the question. Can they continue the momentum that they've showed across the rest of these maps? And I think they can. They just absolutely cannot bank on their Special Infected doing a massive amount of damage outside the tank if these kinds of plays, especially by Dave. I think he one-clicked at least 2 of the Hunters on that last map. If that's still happening on home, then they really gotta just focus on Survivor side and shut down. They need to shut down this tank in the open field. They should not wipe here under any circumstance, in my opinion.
You would certainly hope not. Again, the key play, the clutch play that Coreagaming made work on their home server with these tanks was having the tank boom for his own commit. I wonder if WTF is Spongy are going to look to try and set up something similar. We are just going to wait for Dusty to ready up.
Very easily could. It looks as though the SI are actually talking maybe about that right now, depending on what they want, because there's a couple areas over here. They might need to figure out what hittable would be best or something like that too, because obviously they're still gunning for the wipe. This is a 500 distance point map, if I'm not mistaken, so let's see. Yeah, 500 distance that way too.
500 distance, yeah.
That would be decent for Team Coreagaming to get, and I think they're going to be desperately trying to make that safe room just to stave off any kind of like full momentum going on here. But it looks as though the SI are talking as well, like they're going back through the map and maybe trying to find a distinct path for the tank to go to, because I think what happens is if you climb out the other end of the sewer and then you climb onto the bridge, you can commit from that way too.
Yeah. That is probably the better commit, I would say. In fact, you go around the other way, climb on top of the bridge, you get high ground above the survivors, and you can potentially bring a hittable.
Exactly. It's gonna be a Smoker, Hunter, Boomer, and Spitter for this first hit. Nice ski going out by Kane. Directly on to Brian there. Boomer gets popped too. Smoker dives into the spit, as the spit is going to be the last thing to die, but that allows the survivors to take 0 damage. And yeah, this is what I was hoping to see from Coreagaming now on the flip side of things from what happened last map, because that white map 1 needs to motivate them to have that not happen again in any way that would be detrimental to them. And the tank is now up in the hands of what the fuck is Spongy. Where the fuck is Spongy, rather, in the hands of R-Wolf, and he's actually on the ladder here.
Yeah, he's... Okay, he is going to commit from in front. They aren't going to go around the back on top of the bridge on the freeway. So it is going to be the same commit as last server. This time tank up in the hands of R-Wolf. R-Wolf, of course, isn't going to have the arms. He's climbing on top. Oh!
There it is. Yeah, that is going to be a rock going into? No, close.
Just over the top.
Okay, so they got a hit for him
infected send a hit so he can get on top. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that a lot as well. That was a good transition. The survivors were not really looking for it as much. But now the tank is going to be working his way around, trying not to get chipped. And he should be able to commit, maybe even from behind them at that point. But either way, he's not going to take as much damage. It's going to be a Boomer, Smoker, and a Hunter for this next hit. And I think he's going to probably want to get rid of that Boomer, unless it somehow manages to land.
Is R-Wolf, he doesn't look like he wants to go and get his hittable. I'm pretty sure one of the cars at the end of the freeway, the other end, is hittable. Nice pop by Proof. So there will be no boom, and that is huge, as we saw last server. booming the 300 ping survivors on tank. That's a recipe
idea.
for disaster. Yeah, very good for the infected, not good for the survivors.
Exactly. And Arwolf is going to be forced to commit on this here. We'll see if there's an early pull or something, but Coreagaming are going to be kiting directly away from him, if at all possible, I would assume. Tank is going to be rolling in, looks like, from the left-hand side in the back, jumping into the survivors' faces. There's the smoker pull onto Coach, and there's the corner potentially onto him. He's trying not to
that's an in-cap.
Trying not to get home run here, but that's the in-cap on to prove. Hunter, Jockey, and Smoker are all still up too. Tank is getting close up to hit Nick. At the same time, he's going to get double. No, that should not be happening in this scenario at all. That's going to be a Smoker pull going out. Hunter lands too. Jockey's looking for it. Kane is desperately trying to clear, but he's not going to get it.
Oh, no.
Oh no is exactly right. Coreagaming getting wiped by where the fuck is Spongy here. The tank committing in that way. And he got the early in-cap once again. And then once that happened, right, the fact that survivors, they were so looking for all the SI that way that when they bumped into that dock, the tank was able to hit the multi-punch onto both Nick and Ellis to knock them into that scenario, so no distance points. And this is a complete reversal so far, Elliot. This could be a 1K point game going into map 3, depending on what happens in this next round. Like, Coreagaming need to reset so hard on Survivor side.
Yeah, this is looking good for WTF is Spongy.
Really is.
They just weren't able to get the clear. So prove getting early smoked, they weren't able to get the instant clear. Obviously, very difficult on high ping, but I think it really would have been a different story. Is the hit's going to come in? Pre-spit. No, nothing. He tries for the pre-spit. Survivors did walk out of it and then walk back into it.
Oh, there's a 14 DP going out onto Dave. I think they're
thought
going
it
to
was
try
25 there for a moment.
They're going to try for maybe a quad as tank is spawning, but no, look, once again, they're actually saving the boomer here. So, and it's going to be in the hands of Kane too. This time he's going to rocket and get M2 to shut down.
Doesn't land it this time. Nice try.
That was a valiant effort, but Kane's going to have to do work now on this tank. It's going to spawn him in the sewer once again, and this time I don't know if he's actually going to be able to transition up the same way the other tank did, but the survivors are going to know he's there. Rochelle's coming for a little bit of chip, it would seem, at the same point in time. Hunter is going to be spawned up too, going for a hit there. Hunter is going to land. The tank is right there. He's going to be punching Nick into the corner, but he's not going to go down, and Kane is in with no support, and he's getting a few punches onto Brian as he transitions back. He's going for the hittables though. That's, I think, what this is now. Because the survivors would be forced to go forward.
Survivors are going to push forward into the sewer.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, well, the tank has 3.5k HP. Survivors are going forward. He's already gotten 3 punches, so it's not like he's done no damage, but the smoker's going to have to die, and the boomer is going to have to land, I think, is where this is going. Because if
your WTF is Spongy, is there any reason you don't just keep running here? Where the tank is behind them. They are going to wait. All right. I was going to say, it's very possible that they could have just continued running through the map.
Other ladder. It's the other ladder.
They are going to play it safe.
Indeed. Smoker pull goes out, not going to land. Tank's going for a long arm, not going to land. Indeed it does. Tank is pushing the survivors.
Punch.
And he got another punch. Wow. That was...
Did he?
Hey, he got one more punch on one of the survivors there, but that's all Kane's going to get. And now, the reason that they didn't keep pulling W is because of this ladder. But the question is, can they push through the common fast enough before this full hit is up to take the choke? They're moving so fast now because they know they've got the momentum that they need. If they score with this bonus here, it's going to be a very close map 3 and 4. And indeed, they're just pushing the ladder. This is the go-go that we were expecting to see.
That's it. They've made it through almost all of the choke. There's basically one more scary hit, possibly. The Charger misses his rocket.
This is Coreagaming, unfortunately, falling apart just a little bit here on the EU server, and the Charger's going to be forced to just wait up ahead because all the momentum and the pace is being set perfectly by where's fucking Spongy right now. This is what you expect to see from them, and this is going to be nearly tied, I think, going to map 3, map 4 that way, and that Coreagaming are going to have to survive both these other maps, in my opinion, with some tanks that might be a bit more favorable to them in order to actually take this home if they don't do any more damage right now. It's still 2k points, don't get me wrong, but that's 2k points before the survivors are in the safe room. And Elliot, they have a 700.
It's going to be a lot less than that, yeah.
They have a 778 bonus as we speak.
As you said, this is going to be heading towards a 1,000 point difference with 2 maps remaining. It's very doable for WTF is Spongy.
impossible to tell exactly what's going to happen on map 3 and map 4 at this point. And that's actually going to be the Horde being started in the front, and I do not believe the Horde terminates in this area too, so the Survivors are going to have to maybe push their way forward. Let's see if the SI decide to hit on this, however, as Dave is in the front looking to clear out some of these common, maybe trying to bait the hit in as they go too. Survivors inching their way.
Hunter's going to walk it.
Hunter's going to land. Hunter's not going to land, but there's the pound spit going out onto Dave, and that will be close to an in-cap. Indeed. Indeed it does. That does help things just a little bit, but it's still going to be like 600, 700 bonus actually for the Survivors as they push their way towards that safe room. Elliot, this is... I don't know exactly what the call is going to be for Coreagaming, aside from they need to not die on tank, essentially, on Survivor side, but this is the best that Where the Fuck is Spongy could have possibly done to put themselves in this situation. Smoker spawns up on the alarm cart and does manage to actually pull Coach almost back into it, but...
Oh,
there it is.
Wolf decides to give them a free horde.
Oh, never mind. The Charger wasn't
misses
there.
his rocket again.
Yeah, the Charger wasn't there.
He missed his rocket off the roof. He is going to land it this time, but doesn't get the charge.
If he had managed to get that rocket onto Brian, that might have been an in-cap with that spit, but instead this is going to be just about 1,100 points. Separating these two teams, going into this map 3, it's as close as we could have asked for, Elliot. 5,464 to 4,408. This is so doable for Where the Fuck is Spongy, especially if they manage to wipe on this next map. This is getting pressure mode time for Coreagaming now.
It really is. 1,050 is separating these two teams. 2 chapters left. 1,050, I believe, is less than the bonus that Coreagaming, only the bonus, not the distance, only the bonus that Coreagaming made on map 4 alone.
Exactly.
There is so many points in these two maps. Coreagaming really have to make safe room and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, the thing is here with the indoor tank in the diner coming up, right? Like, I don't know exactly what they want to be thinking in their heads at this point when it comes to how this is going to go, but even with the distance points, right? Let's give them full distance, which they haven't been able to do yet. That'd be 6,064 points, sure, and that's 1,600 points going into this. And that still, though, is like a negligible bonus for how well Team Where the Fuck is Spongy have been playing, and it's like, if Where the Fuck is Spongy make this safe room with any kind of bonus, and then map 4 is what this comes down to, it would force Coreagaming to have to make the safe room with bonus as well, in my opinion, on map 4 for them to actually make this an upset. Because it's getting to that point where if they die again at tank, and then map 4, like if they die at tank there, the game's just over. If they die at tank here, though, too, it could be a completely different scenario going into map 4 with how Where the Fuck is Spongy are playing, because they could shut that tank down and easily make this map as well.
Oh, I think if Coreagaming wipe to this tank, it probably is over. I can't see WTF is Spongy not making huge bonuses, especially on map 4, with that early tank.
Exactly. I mean, and so can they actually pull it back together on Survivor side? We will have to see literally right now, and it's going to be a Spitter, Charger, Jockey, and a Smoker as we're going live here. Dusty tank for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. Let's see if they're managing to get any kind of damage on this with those rocket spawns that we know everyone loves to use so much. Charger repositioning actually to get on top of the Survivors now as they are still clearing out these common. They're playing a little bit slower on Survivor side too, maybe with that pace, but they're going to want to kill this hit and then probably push to the start of that event. That's what I would expect at least. Let's see if they actually manage to make that happen. Smoker does pre-spawn on the top now and does get chipped a bit for his troubles. Survivors taking it as slow as they need to. Jockey, though, goes in right in front of Ellis's face, getting M2 shut down by Kane. Charger getting chipped too, and you can tell Coreagaming are trying to play a lot more precise. Survivor side, it's a pull charge spit. It's a pull charge spit off that too. That was going so well, but Kane gets snared by the Smoker, and that's a decent amount of damage on that first hit, Elliot.
Kane not respecting the smoke. He knew it was pre-spawned up there, but just poked his head out a bit too far. And as you said, pulled into the Charger and the spit, and that's half of his health gone.
Yeah, all that damage is pretty much onto Kane like that, and it's an old-fashioned pull charge spit. Speaking of pro mod, that was the meta back in what, like 2015, 2016, to try to get those kinds of damage points just by getting the pull charge spit combo. Doesn't do as much in this version of the game, but still does get you that guaranteed damage. So Let's see what happens now. Dave is going to be readying up and taking this live once more. Survivors don't really have the full momentum now because of that hit landing to get inside and push the event. I think they're going to be able to get inside, but there will be another hit waiting for them. Boomer spawns up on the alarm car as well, gets a single boom onto Kane, who just completely ignores it while holding W. They are going to
that's
push.
the right play.
Gonna start this here. It's gonna be a Hunter, Jockey, and another spawn in the queue, and they might actually try to send it before the survivors are set up. Hunter's pre-spawn in that room along with everything else. Charger coming in too, going to land for a split second, and a pound! And a pound on to 4ZE. Elliot, the difference right now is that on this server, all of the pacing and momentum is being set by team Where the Fuck is Spongy, even on SI side so far.
Yeah, they look more comfortable. Coreagaming look. You know, last week we saw Coreagaming, even on the away server, they were playing aggressive, they were pressuring tanks, they looked confident. Now they're looking a little shaky. They are trying to push, but again, they aren't going to be able to take the park, so this push really doesn't achieve a whole lot. They're still going to have to take a hit in the park up ahead.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they stopped. I was getting a little bit nervous for them, thinking like, okay, they're trying to play aggressive and trying to reset what we were just talking about in terms of who's controlling the momentum, but they also can't mean that they hold W in the chokes, right? And that's why they just kind of stopped here, I think, to clear everything out with the Smoker, Spitter, Jockey, Hunter to deal with next. But now we're actually going to see them maybe move back to the left and clear out all the common in that direction first before baiting the hedge maze, because they know there's going to be at least a semi-decent hit awaiting them now.
Smoke, Spit, Jockey, Hunter. They are taking it nice and slow. Both teams taking it nice and slow. Kane playing point. There is a funny thing with these hedges. I think a lot of the hedges aren't rendered properly. You can boom through them, and you can in fact smoke through them as well.
Of course, I'm not surprised.
They aren't going to go for that.
Hunter manages to land on Rochelle. That's a self-clear on the Smoker.
That's a very quick clear.
Jockey's getting M2'd around. That was the kind of shutdown that Coreagaming needed exactly in this area. And now they're going to be able to push almost to the tank spawn. They'll get ammo and manage to reset themselves too. It comes down to this tank, and it is going to be a dusty tank as well. I don't know, a room on high ping like this, Elliot, can be very precarious, to say the least.
It certainly can. We saw it last server. I think Coreagaming absolutely cannot afford to get boomed. The amount of common that came out from even just a one boom was enormous. Charger misses.
He's gonna be tanked, yeah, so...
Dusty, yeah, just sacking, because he is going to be tanked. Dave is still on 0, by the way.
That boomer got M2 through the window by Rochelle. That is amazing. And it misses the... That was absolutely clutch, because the boomer tried to rocket there, and Rochelle M2'd it literally as, like, the boomer's, like, chest, I think, was, like, right at the window there, and he actually fell back down. That's how they managed to dodge the arc. Dusty is getting a dumpster somewhere into play here as he's rotating.
He's got it in, actually. Is it possible to get it inside? I've never seen that, but it could be.
I feel like if he went through the window right where Coach just was under the diner, it might be possible. It's possible if there's two windows there too, but I don't think he wants to go for it just because of Chip. And now he has a rotate up to the top. It's a Jockey, Charger, and a Hunter for the support. I would be surprised to see him not. I'd be surprised to see him not commit just with this right here, because I think for this area, this is the ideal of what you want. Kane's gonna pre-pill too, as Dusty is still making his way up top, but he's gonna have 6k HP, absolutely no damage done to him. If he gets an early corner here, that of course could lead to the wipe, but Jockey got chipped just a bit. Dusty's gonna throw a rock, and then I think we're gonna see him go directly after maybe Kane. I don't know, he wants one of the shot, he's probably to go down. He's gonna come in from the back instead as he's working his way in, and that's gonna be Nick being the first person to get punched there for the E. He has him in the corner. They are doing as much damage to him as possible. Now they have to watch the SI, of course, but he's going for another corner at the same point in time. He manages to hit Rochelle. He's got Rochelle exactly where he wants her. Hunter lands onto Kane there, too. It's going to be up to Coach to clutch it. M2ing the Jockey. He manages to clear the Hunter. Tank is going to corner him, though. There's the Jockey landing, and that's going to be the wipe by Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. At least so
Charger misses!
No,
the Charger misses!
No
Dave!
way! No
Dave!
way! Dude! What? That was literally like 99.
No.
That was 99.9% a wipe because Dusty had the other person in the corner. The Jockey manages to land. Whoever cleared him right there for Coreagaming literally might have just saved their entire tournament run, because now the Smoker's gonna go up top. Prove is the one who clutched that out. That was looking like the wipe, absolutely surefire until that happened, but instead now these distance points are going to still be ticking up. Razor goes down, but Elliot, there has never been more clutch a save I don't think, than what we just saw happen there.
Yeah, Prove got the M2 and on the jockey, on 300 ping, mind you. M2'd the jockey, cleared the hunter, then killed the jockey. The tank was punching him, and the charger missed the charge onto Kane, who was standing up. And Kane was able to put one last shot into the tank and kill it. Coreagaming going to make safe room, and they probably are going to make it with bonus, assuming this hit doesn't do too much.
Oh man, that just changed the entire course of this match. That was after getting wiped 2 times in a row. Prove, I mean, that was clutch on a level that we have not yet seen, at least in this tournament, I don't think. This is going to be the last hit coming in. Smoker's going to miss. Boomer whips. Jockey is not going to land. Charger and Smoker both land on Rochelle for a split second, but they kill the Boomer, and like you said, Elliot, that goes from a wipe to them making the safe room with bonus, and that's going to keep this interesting for map 4, of course. 6,000, however many points, 2,028 so far total for Coreagaming. It's still 1,800 points, and that room area is probably the best chance they're going to have so far of doing damage as Special Infected. If they can get some kind of wipe there, that would be absolutely incredible, and then if they can make the safe room next map, they would win this match. But that play by Prove, if you have to give me a vote for clutch play of the tournament so far, it was absolutely that.
Yeah. So just seeing that replay there, so Prove, M2's the jockey, kills the hunter, tank gets the punch on him as he is doing this. While he is still getting punched by the tank, he threads a shot over the tank's shoulder, kills the jockey, freeing Kane, who was behind the tank. The tank was, the charger, Dave, was, I guess, not prepared for the clear, missed the charge, and Kane and Prove together killed the tank, and yeah, now there is everything to play for. As you said, this room, Brian had the tank on last server on the high ping team, and he wasn't able to get a huge amount of damage, but with the arms that you can definitely get on 300 ping, they can do a lot of damage here.
It's not only that, but it's also the fact that I think on that last server, when you miss your first punch in a room like that, no matter what ping you're on, if you whiff that first one, you're the one who mentioned that you can just do so much damage with all 4 guns hitting you at the same time.
It makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, because you know support's not going to be due in that area, and I think this is the one shot that they have, like I said, because the open field tank on map 1K, that was shut down mostly well. Map 2, same kind of situation where they weren't able to get a huge amount of anything because of how Team Where the Fuck is Spongy went forward into the sewer, but this is an area where the survivors really can't transition out of the diner because there aren't really other good places to fight it, depending on where the survivors want to go, because if they go in the street there, they have to deal with hittables. If they try to push forward, then that area sucks. And I think Coreagaming are actually looking at all these possibilities on SI side right now too, just because they're trying to think like, okay, if we can get that early boom in the room again to get that kind of damage in, you know, that would obviously be ideal, but I think they're going to end up eventually going with that same kind of 3-cap support if the tank can get an original corner that way. And on that last tank as well, I thought that was going to easily be the wipe, because I think Dusty also switched targets when that happened, didn't he?
I think, so Dusty got the first corner onto Jinman, he was able to get the second one, I think, onto Razor, and then he was punching Prove, and I don't think he switched targets, but I think, yeah, as he was punching Prove, there was time for Prove to get one shot off.
Yeah, he was punching Kane, and then he switched to Prove, because he had Kane in the left-hand corner over there, and then he turned to Prove that way, and I thought if he was going to down Kane, then they might have been able to get Prove in that same kind of spot, but it comes down to can the tank hit punches in that area, and I would expect for Coreagaming they want to do just that, of course. We are now live here on the second half of map 3 on the EU server. Jockey spawns up early, not going to land. Charger barely misses Dave there. Spit's going to go down on nothing, and meanwhile the survivor side for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy continues to shut things down mostly, but Elliot, and this is something where I don't expect a massive amount of damage before the tank in any regard with how well Where the Fuck is Spongy has been playing. It's all coming down to that diner fight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's maybe they could get some damage if they have a hit up in the park. Otherwise, there's really very limited damage potential on this first half of the map.
Exactly. They kill the Boomer. It's a Smoker, Jockey, and a Hunter. Could they be going for a quad here? Maybe, because they either want that or the Spit, I think, in this spot. And the thing is, if they hit now, though, then I think the survivors hold W even faster than they did on the away server for them, just because they've got the low ping and the momentum. It will be the quad.
It is the quad. Surely they don't send it here, so we are going to see a quad attempt. Probably off the roof outside, or maybe in the park.
Yeah, looks as though they're waiting for the park and the hedges there. But as you mentioned, there's a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to some of those hedges. And I'm trying to see exactly which ones those could actually be, because some are transparent, I think, and some are not. I think the SI are aware of this. They want that height advantage, though, some kind.
I believe it is the front left wall. So if you're looking at the little jump to get into the park, all of the hedges to your immediately left are not properly rendered. Or at least they weren't the last time I played this map, which was a while ago. You can smoke through them.
Okay.
I don't know if Coreagaming know about this.
Not sure, but we've got the Hunter pre-spawning in front. Jockey's looking behind that tree. The survivors know it's probably a quad. Charger spawns from behind.
It's coming in.
Indeed it is. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by Dave. Charger is going to get melted too. Smoker does almost nothing, and there's 4 points of damage on the board right now, Elliot. Now it's 7, or 8, but still.
Yeah, that is the shutdown that we have been expecting to see. The Survivor gameplay that we've been expecting to see from WTF SPONGY. Dave with a shotgun in his hand on 18 ping. Loving life. The problem for Coreagaming, 3 survivors are still 5 punches.
Now it's going to be 2, but still, that means they're going to have to go in. And Prove has this tank. He already made the clutch play of clutch plays last half. Can he do it again now with this tank? I think the answer could be yes. He's already rotating directly above the survivors, trying to avoid the chip as much as possible. And he's actually going around to the back. He's in the same spot with the dumpster. Bot Spitter is still just making its way around here too. That'll be the next the other SI they possibly need. If that Bot Spitter has any impact on this, I will be absolutely stunned. But it's gonna be a Jockey, Hunter, and Charger, and he's got the dumpster really close to in, but I don't think he goes for it because of the chip.
I think he's just putting the dumpster there. The survivors don't run outside as he commits. I think it's just a deterrent to keep them in.
Yeah. And this will be for everything here, because when he goes in, I think he's looking for either Nick or Ellis with 5,970 HP. Here we go. Prove is going to work his way, and he gets the first
that's
punch.
such an early punch onto Brian. He's outside.
There.
He's outside.
He misses that punch, however, and Brian's trying to get away from him as he's now going to be in the corner, but the tank is down to 2k HP with that Jockey landing. Hunter getting skeeted. Tank gets a punch there as well.
Huge damage.
Turning back around, indeed it is. He's spreading it as well as possible. He gets the in-cap onto Brian, but that is obviously not the wipe. Elliot, that happened so fast with Brian getting hit outside there.
I think that was really lucky that Brian got hit outside. If he got hit up against the wall, which he possibly should have, it was one more punch for an almost immediate in-cap, and then the tank with his 300 ping arms and the remaining SI could have got a lot of damage. As it stands, that is still quite a lot of damage that they've done, but not the wipe.
Kane unfortunately sporting another 0 in that category, but let's see here what happens on what should be the last hit of this map. Boomer rockets in, gets M2, and then proxies onto Nick with the Smoker, Jockey, and Hunter still waiting on that left-hand side. Hunter's going for a wall kick, going to land it. That's going to be the Smoker landing in the back too. Jockey getting M2 for its troubles. Nothing really going in. It's a 700-point bonus. Once again, for where the fuck is SPONGY, at least so far, and there's only really one half hit for them still to take. It's going to be the nail biter of nail biters going into map 4. Kane has this Charger and is just not able to do anything. It's 6,228 to 5,708 going into map 4. Elliot, this is as close as we could have possibly hoped for.
500-point difference. Coreagaming are going to need to have a very big survivor round.
They need to make this map with bonus. If they make this map with bonus, they could hold on and pull out the upset of a lifetime in this setting. If they don't, though, if for whatever reason this tank is able to get, like, I don't know, 3 in-caps in some wild way in an open field like this, then that would put it directly in where the fuck is SPONGY's court. Because honestly, like, no matter who the other team is, right? But when you're playing against a team that is so cohesive, especially on low ping, like, we saw as much damage potentially got from where the fuck is SPONGY as possible. And it might come down to a couple hits after the tank, but this tank is so difficult, so difficult for the SI, even when ping isn't a question. And on Survivor side right now, Coreagaming need to shut it down to the best of their ability and then make it into that safe room to try and hold on from this absolutely furious comeback attempt, Elliot. We knew it was going to be this close.
Well, I'm very glad it is this close, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the tank spawn. And both teams, I think, are feeling that same kind of hype, where they remember to do the tank spawn that way, but everyone is so focused right now, as it is the last chapter of RBT6, Coreagaming trying to hold on to this title. It will be a Dave tank, sans long arms at this point, but he's still going to have the chance to do as much damage as he can. Let's see what happens. Hunter, Jockey, Spitter, and Charger for the first hit from the Special Infected, with that Charger and Spitter positioned on the roof to get some kind of rocket. Kane has made his way outside with his shotgun, jumping onto that generator. Jockey's going to get chipped just a little bit as well by Prove, and now Kane's going to be pushing into the corner there. Hunter and Jockey both landing! That is almost a 3-cap, and the Charger is not going to land onto Prove, but that's a good amount of damage, Elliot.
I'd say that's more than a good amount. That's a huge amount of damage. Prove down to 60 health after the first hit. This is quite a long map. It's not particularly hard. In fact, it's rather easy to shut down most of these hits. But it is a long map, so if you start bleeding early on, you'll have bled your entire set of pills before you get anywhere near the safe room.
Exactly, and now it's the last tank of the tournament for Team Where the Fuck is Spongy. Up into the hands of Dave, a.k.a. Soul, a.k.a. Thanatos, unquestionably one of the best players this game has seen. Let's see if he can pull off anything spectacular here. The one boom has gone, as you mentioned. There's a Jockey landing on a Rochelle, only getting cleared now. Rock is going in, not going to land. Breaks
just clipping the top of the fence
there. Exactly. So, okay, you have this tank, Elliot. It's an open field. You have the ping that you do here where you can't get the arms. What is the call, do you think?
You've just got to play for a 3-cap, I think. Although, they have sent in the Charger, so they will have another boom here. I think the 3-cap is the play. But they have the boom. I don't know if Brian is gonna kill this. Dave is second pass. I don't know if he's gonna be able to kill this. Pause.
We have the pause going out at one of the most crucial points of the match. I think you're right there, because that Charger tried to go for Kane in the safe room and was not able to land onto him. The Boomer and the Smoker both... The Smoker is essential, the Boomer is not in this area. He's going to get either a Jockey or a... Okay, he's going to get Jockey here with this too, which... If you have to ask me between Jockey and Hunter, I think Hunter's better. Boomer spawns up and does get a single.
Big rocket.
Onto Kane, but here comes the tank. Smoker pull is going to miss. As the survivors are backing their way up, Kane is the survivor who's boomed in the corner, but now they're trying to shoot the tank as much as they can. He's down to under 1,500 HP, down to about 500, still trying to corner Kane. Jockey landing onto Rochelle.
Kill the tank.
There's the in-cap onto Kane, and the tank is trying desperately to get out at this point, throwing a rock around the corner with 59 HP. Not gonna land, and that's a dead tank with one down. Okay, here we go. It's gonna be...
Good take.
It's a good take. Rochelle's pulled, though, as the survivors are trying to still get the pickup, too, for a bit more damage, but this is now doable for Coreagaming. They need to just stay alive. You mentioned it's a long map that way. Hunter does manage to land onto Kane, but that's going to be with the Spitter not able to go in there, so this hit's going to be a bit staggered, and now they got a whole W.
Kane getting bounced the second he gets up. That feels bad, but yeah, pretty good take there for Coreagaming. Oh, charge! And with the spit, that's big.
Indeed
that's very big proof.
Both
the boom.
Both teams are trying to go as, like, this is the fastest I think I've ever seen two teams play Left 4 Dead 2 in so many ways. And the SI are not even relying on full hits at that point, because they saw a charge split opportunity and just took it. You've got all 4 survivors bleeding now, and the survivors have to move. They absolutely have to move right now.
They will maybe find one more set of pills. But they have 3 bleeding survivors, so you're right, they just have to hit the go-go. This is a quad.
It is, and here it comes. It's going to be the Smoker spawning in the front, not able to land on the Coach, but Coach is going to get Jockey. Oh, he's so far forward.
That's going to be an in-cap. Prove
is so
by
far forward.
Himself.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why he was that split, unfortunately, for Coreagaming in that position. Smoker gets a pull in the back, too, and they're actually going to have enough common with that Charger to where this is going to be real close to Prove. Maybe not dying, but he's in a terrible spot. The other thing, though, is that the SI really... They've already pre-spawned that way, and they're going to have to come around the corner to do anything, and Kane's going to push forward, so this is not, like, disaster mode for Coreagaming yet, because they still have 400 bonus, but they need to not do stuff like that, where Prove was just so far forward.
Yeah, big separation there.
And there's the Jockey landing, too. He's going to get charged, and he is in for his second down, with even more damage going on to that DB. Prove, and I mean, there's a proxy boom going on to him. They've literally just been beating Prove up for the past 2 minutes straight.
Not sure what to make of this one. Yeah, Prove kind of just running into jockeys and separating himself from his team a little bit. He is now black and white. Rails, I don't think he's making safe room.
I don't know if he is or not either. I mean, at this point, he's also pretty far in the back, and I think his team are kind of aware of this. They should maybe be finding one set of pills, like, somewhere in here, but I'm not 100% sure what's going on their Survivor side.
No pills?
Yeah, no pills there.
Oh, they do find one.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's possible now that Prove will make it. I would say without pills, he definitely doesn't.
Exactly. I mean, and here comes this jockey.
Next hit's coming in.
Charger, both Smoker and Hunter are going to land. Charger's looking to line it up. Not going to get it, though. That's a lot of damage, though, going on to Kane. And this jockey is going for Prove once again. That Smoker still is
the charge, the smoke.
Oh, my goodness. That's another in-cap going out. This is not what you want to see at all. If you are Team Coreagaming, they still have 200 bonus left, but the issue is now that they have one survivor being Prove black and white, and Kane is also black and white, so they need to just... I don't even know what it is. I think they're trying to set pace, and the SI are just cutting them off at every available opportunity, Elliot.
It's just, yeah, not really tight enough on Survivor. Too split, the clears are too slow. They get the spit pounce on Nick, who is bonus. Razor is now black and white. That is 3 black and white survivors.
Exactly. I mean, and this is looking bad now, honestly, for Coreagaming in some ways. I mean, it's still possible for them to have the SI round that they need to close this out, but there's this devastating choke coming up with these rocket spawns too, and they are not quite in the safe room. They've gotten over 1k point, and they're still getting the distance points here, which is what really matters. They're going to try to push this to like 7k, and look at how fast Prove has gone. There's Kane dead. Indeed it is. And the Hunter's going to land on Prove.
Another death.
That's going to be another death onto him. That's Prove and Kane both dead before the safe room here on map 4. Rochelle's still black and white too. There's the smoker pole going out, and the Hunter landing too.
That is the wipe.
That is the wipe. Elliot, this is for it all now on this next half map. It's over 1k points, but they need to make 1100 points on Team Where the Fuck is Spongy's side in order to close this out. It's gonna come down to their Survivor and Team Coreagaming Special Infected. Part of me, unfortunately, is thinking that that is not quite enough on Survivor side from Coreagaming, though.
I mean, yeah, we just gotta call a spade a spade. All WTF is Spongy have to do is make 400 bonus. Safe room plus 400 bonus. On this map, on this ping, it's more than doable. More than doable.
Exactly, and if they do it, they will claim the RBT6 title in a amazing comeback fashion on these two servers. But let's see what happens now, because Coreagaming are going to be on that SI side. Hunter, Spitter, Jockey, and a Charger.
Dave is straight out.
Indeed he is. They've got the momentum and they're gunning for it all, as this Hunter is going to land onto Ellis with a spin going down onto absolutely nothing there. I don't know what's going on Coreagaming's side of things. I don't know if that last map was potentially tilting for them, but when Prove was getting that separated, I just can't help but think that they should have made the distance on that map, Elliot.
Yeah, they didn't need to rush that hard. They just looked panicked. They did. Prove was too far ahead. His team was too far behind. They took way too much damage on the hits. If they made it to the safe room with a bit of bonus, it would be a completely different story, but 400 bonus, WTF is Spongy. Unless they get completely murdered on this tank, and I really don't see how that's possible, this should just be a procession at this point. Not to sound too negative, but as another pause comes out, Coreagaming, they're stratting. They know that they have everything on the line.
Yeah, and they need a 3-cap for this. They already killed the Boomer, but Charger here isn't good, in my opinion. They need the open field 3-cap with the Smoker, Hunter, and Jockey. If that Charger misses once, then this is going to go really, really well for the survivors. Anyway, let's see what Razor is able to do with this, because he is standing there staring this down with 300 MS at the same point in time, so he's got the long arms in this area now, and it is the open field 3-cap that they won. He's taking absolutely no chip for it, no idea of Rock Tank either. Especially against a team of this caliber on this ping, it's for all of the tournament glory in this final chapter. Let's see what Razor's able to do with it, because he is now on that second pass of 50%, already getting chipped for just a couple hundred HP, and the support going in will determine pretty much everything when it comes down to what this tank does or not. But he's getting absolutely shredded by those Uzis. Smoker pull is going to go out onto Nick, and that is going to be a punch on the Dave. Indeed, there's another punch going on to Dave, but he's getting absolutely railed at the same point. Missing a punch there in the corner. Trying to find it. That tank is dead.
Oh, it's such a clean take. It is such a clean take from WTF is Spongy. They have 1,400 bonus.
Here comes the best team in the competitive Left 4 Dead 2 international scene in the past 6 years, saying that they were down, but they are not out by any means. They have 1,385 bonus. Coreagaming need to do 1,100 points of bonus damage in the next number of hits that they have left. It's going to be such an uphill battle. Charger goes in, is going to land with a double cap though, with a spit going down on top of that too. Dave taking some of it there. That's the kind of start that they need, but still they gotta do about 800 more on top of that. Elliot, that tank, he missed a punch after he got that early help from the smoker there, and then he tried to target someone else, I'm pretty sure, but the survivor was just absolutely not having it in that corner, and this is catastrophic, obviously, for Coreagaming at this point.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They've got to do 800 or over 800 bonus worth of damage in however many hits. I'm going to give you a hint, Rails. It's not many hits.
Not many hits.
WTF is Spongy are making serious distance.
Indeed they are. It's a quad cap attempt here, though, and maybe the SI can find some kind of split with that Smoker, Charger, Jockey, and Hunter in the spawn queue. Survivors are already pushing out just a bit here. They would have had to go then, but now they're going to have to wait maybe for the next choke. There's a lot riding on this quad, to say the least. Any kind of triple or quadruple cap here, of course, would be completely devastating for the Survivors. But meanwhile, the Survivors look like they're pretty much comfortable when it comes to this next choke, as Dave is in that position 1 with that shoddy. Let's see what they're able to do, because they know it's going to be a quad cap at this point too. The Infector being very patient with it, and they're going to have to make this hit one of the best of the tournament so far to even have a shot at holding on now themselves in this scenario. It's so close. Every single move the Survivors are making, the Infected are mirroring in that regard, but the Hunter has pre-spawned in front at this point.
Charger spawns. This is
Hunter's
it.
Noise. This is for pretty much everything. Like we mentioned, Hunter's going up now with the baiting timer also going on, and they actually might even bait a little more there because they know that the Horde is due to come in. Smoker spawns up too. Here comes everything. That's going to be
Charger just gets melted. Brian with the pop-off.
Chip level and the ski team. Where the fuck is Spongy, saying that they are going to just continue with the momentum that they've got now, and it came down to this EU server map 4. They still have 1,239 points of bonus as they're navigating these chokes, and for what has been one of the most exciting grand finals in the history of this community, I think what we can say now with that level going out to, along with that Hunter trying to land in front on the elephant, getting team skeeted for his trouble. Team,
Brian
where the
going
fuck?
for the melee skeet.
Yep, team, where the fuck is Spongy, working their way to the safe room with the GGs going out. Congratulations to them, because they become the first team ever to win back-to-back really big tournaments with the score of 7,600 to 6,797. Congratulations to them, Elliot. They did it. They came back from losing that first match. They rebound and they win it on the EU server in absolute style.
They absolutely did. A really dominant map for there. The icing on the cake for them. Shutting down Coreagaming on the Survivor, on Coreagaming Survivor, and then making it with a huge bonus to just put the icing on the proverbial cake. Congratulations to the best team in the world, 2 years in a row. WTF is Spongy, no doubt about it. But of course, commiserations and indeed congratulations to Coreagaming as well.
Yeah.
They had a fantastic run. They pushed WTF is Spongy to 2 matches, both very close, and they should be very proud of how well they played in this tournament.
Absolutely, they fought so hard. That game last week was exactly what they needed in order to, you know, move this into the direction that they had. And I feel like that's a game, it's so unfortunate because, I mean, being in positions like that where you have grand finals that are that close, you know, you can ask a lot about what went wrong or didn't, but I think unfortunately when, you know, it took them a couple matches, right? Because of last weekend today, but I think where the fuck is Spongy eventually figured out how they were pushing, and then they were able to send those hits even when it was off cycle, like with a charge spit or like with a jockey or something like that. They were able to take advantages in the survivors, take advantage of gaps in the survivors' positioning that way, especially with what happened with Prove, you know, on that map 4. But again, Coreagaming played absolutely the best that they possibly could have in these 2 games in a row, and pulling off 2 wins against a team like Where the Fuck is Spongy in a row is extremely difficult, as we saw. It has not yet been done, but they played incredibly. They played absolutely incredibly as well. So there's absolutely no, like that, like there's no sense that they could have like done any better than they did, I think, in exactly how they played this weekend last. So congratulations to Team Where the Fuck is Spongy for winning RBT6 in that home and away style. This has been such an incredible tournament, Elliot, to go from 72 teams to 1 winner in a grand finals that absolutely nobody wanted to miss. I think that's the most we could have asked for in that regard.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to watch and cast these matches over the past few weeks between these 2 titans of a teams, and indeed the entire tournament has been a pleasure. Thank you, Rails and the admin team, for setting it up, and thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to Kreitcher for casting, thank you for the viewers for being there, and thank you for the teams for playing.
Absolutely. It has been an absolutely amazing tournament, and we'll have more news for what the next moves from RBT are when it comes to this. We'll be having the prize funds, of course, distributed to both the first place finishers and the second very, very soon, because that's what the admin team typically does directly after anything like this. But once again, thank you everyone for supporting competitive Left 4 Dead 2 in the way that you have. For those that donated either to the tournament or to myself that way, and to Kreitcher's stream, to anybody else who does anything to keep this community alive financially, like by the time that people put in hosting the servers that way, Sir for developing the config, and of course Lucky Lock 2 for CDPUB, we gotta give that shout out as well. It's been completely just magical to see this happen over this the course of these past couple months, especially with the turnout that we had. But as we continue moving in the competitive Left 4 Dead 2 community into the future here, just thank you everyone for keeping the game as international as it has been, and for the dedicated support of the viewers. It has been about the viewership that way, and of course the players who make the games for the viewers that way, but the support as a community, whether you're playing, casting, adminning, streaming, it doesn't matter. It's everybody still doing that together in the best way that we possibly can. So it has been an absolute pleasure to host this tournament, to cast alongside you here, Elliot, today, and also for our other casts that we've had. And thank you to everybody who puts in the work that they do to keep this game just as alive as it is. We'll have news for you on what RBT is doing next very, very soon. But for this entire tournament, and on behalf of the admin squad, thank you for your support, and we are looking forward to seeing you so soon. Congratulations to Team Where the Fuck is Spongy on becoming the first team ever to repeat in the RBT tournament series as our champions. And with that, Elliot, do you have any other last shout-outs before we sign it off?
Nope, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Thank you to everyone. GG's.
Amazing. GG, and we will see you soon.
GG's, everyone.